So, a new place, trying an experiment. Oh. Big ass crickets down here. Yeah, I don't like crickets. We should fuck out. Jump really high. They're fucking big. So I was thinking that I wanted to try out doing a class of some sort, but I'm not doing it right now. Right now I'm just recording myself doing what I would normally be doing. I guess instead of thinking inside of my head, I'll think outside of my head. Well, try and practice this class. Because the notion would be, very simply, this isn't supposed to be me talking about my life. It's not what the purpose of this was. It's about me doing what I do, doing my shit. I think the problem is that I knew that there were some people. That was so loud. I didn't realize that. Speaker's right there, so you're gonna hear that louder than me. What I mean is, it's supposed to be like my older videos. Hold on a second. Maybe. We'll see. I don't know if that actually worked. I sent the, yes, I did. So this is all about me, like getting my metaphysical and occult shit. I ain't got time for family bullshit. This was my escape from that. So I actually found a new place to keep myself because it's away from everybody else, so I don't have to worry about being embarrassed to do this in front of people. I think that's what I'm kind of building my courage up to. But I need to like work. I do work. I think everyone thinks I like sit around all day, but I actually work, and it's on this stuff. So why not do my work, right? See what happens. I mean, I don't know how long I'm gonna do this for. I might send a thing to Twitter, see if anybody wanted to play along. 2,000 followers. I'd like to see if any of them are actually real. But yeah, while I'm doing this, I want to figure out what I would teach and how. I guess I would have to teach about me, which would make the most sense. So I brought my notebook so I can take notes. If something comes to mind that I feel I need to write down. I have a bunch of cards to do examples. And this automatically records, so no matter how long I go, I don't have to worry about getting interrupted because my laptop only records for about 3 hours at a clip. And I have a tendency of talking a lot, so if I go past 3 hours, I'm gonna have to stop where I'm at and like do all this shit. I really don't have time for it. I got too much stuff to say, and I don't know how long it's gonna take to say it. So, without further ado, suppose, what do I do? Question. I study the occult, I study metaphysics. And just as a disclaimer also, if the conversation strays into personal crap, realize that I'm talking about me. When we vent, when we hold grudges against people that we want to release and say, throw in their face sometimes, it's because we're talking about ourselves. There's something that same aspect about ourselves is what's being projected out onto the other person, which I think most people realize that. I don't know. Sometimes I feel they don't, but I don't know. I know sometimes I don't. That's why I think a lot, because I'm always like trying to rationalize what's going through everybody's head to see if it's anything like mine. And I usually pay attention to people's behaviors, and I've been doing this since I was a kid. Just this thing, people watcher. And just comparing myself to other people and seeing where things were going wrong. And I think that's where I went wrong in life, was I was comparing myself to everyone else. I was looking to see what other people were doing, and I was doing the same thing. This little like dry skin patch. Day 18, that's my birthday, which was just my birthday. Which was fun. I had a good time. A very good time. Went out with my mother, which was nice. Went to Gordon Ramsay's. It was a surprise dinner. There was no, I wasn't expecting anything. She got my hair done for my birthday. And then 8 minutes and 18 seconds right there. Interesting. And we went out to Gordon Ramsay's. It was amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We don't do much together. The week or so ago. I mean, we've been doing more stuff together. She's a cool lady. Let's see, eye on everything, but in a sense, I think she probably knows me better than everybody else. Oh, she's always the nicest one to me too. That makes sense. At least I perceive it that way. But she did say that thing where people are being nice, they're being fake. Which she said that at dinner. I think she was also talking about the waitress. I don't know if we were talking about people in the hospitality industry, which she is. Shit, I'm gonna have to ask her this now. Whatever. But she took me out to a really nice dinner at Gordon Ramsay's. It was fucking amazing. I had a really good time. I met a pretty waitress. She seemed a little young, but it's cute. She never called, which is fine. She probably doesn't need me. It was more of a business thing anyway. Business. I teach people how to overcome anxiety, and I don't teach people how to overcome it. I teach them how I went through it. This way you can go through it. You have to go through it. You can't escape it. Mental disorders and like addictions and all that shit. It's like you need to let it run its course. And if you don't let it run its course, it's never going to stop. Oops, ugly thought right there that I want to write down, which is funny, 821, which when you add them up, I add up all my times. Numbers are they hold a lot of weight. It's not just the number 11, for instance. The number 11 isn't just 11 dogs or 11 pieces of pie or 11 slices of pizza. 11 is, it's got purpose to it. It's got a deeper meaning that they don't teach in school. And a lot of what I do is pay attention to these coincidences. What people call them, we call them coincidences. I don't call them that. They're like little triggers. They're little signs. They help trigger your mind and to go to places where you might have forgot about. Something you need a reminder for. Sometimes, like this. I was going into my birthday, and I needed to switch topics because for some reason or another. So when I wrote down this time, I came out to 11. I started to think about 11 because 11 is a magical number. It's a number. It's known as a number of magical initiation. The reason for that is because the Jewish Kabbalah. It's a form of Judaism. It's the original form of Judaism. Some people think that way. Some people don't. I don't think the Jews think that way. Also, like Christianity, there was Gnosticism for Christianity, but really it wasn't even called Gnosticism. It just was. It was Kabbalah. It was the Jewish system, the original Jewish system, which wasn't even Jewish then. It wasn't about wearing suits and keeping your hairstyle a certain way or eating a certain foods, and it wasn't about that. It was about the actual. It's not even a religion. It's just make believe. It's a philosophy. It's an understanding. It's a way of being. It's a way of knowing. It's a very interesting scientific system, and there's actually science to it. It's which I'm trying to learn right now. That's a little hard because I know a lot of it. I know how to use it. I know how to. And what is magic? It's not hocus pocus yet. The practice thereof requires the practitioner to see. It's not about just blind belief in things. It's not just taking someone's word for something, or let me write that down. Taking someone's word for something. That's right. And it's about experimentation. So, for instance, the magical, like people say magic, people think of like those fucking people that get dressed up and they wear the hats and the cloaks and stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. I mean, it works. It works, but it works without it too. It's just you're role playing. That's it. But there is a mystical force in the universe that is very similar to the force in Star Wars. If you take away the special effects and stuff, and the lightsabers, unfortunately, which I hope to rectify one day. And same with the pushing and the pulling, though there are ways of moving objects with your mind. It's not what you think, though. Not everything is literal. Not everything is literal. There are some literal things. There are lots of literal things in the world to be taken literally, but there's also metaphorical and allegorical and metaphysical ways of understanding those same things as well. So just because you know something, I mean, there's multiple layers to it. Sometimes multiple degrees in each layer. That's where it gets a little tricky. That's why it's hard to explain things sometimes, and sometimes it's better to not even do anything. Which reminds me of this movie. Oh my god, I'm so fucking scared of this. Is a Mr. Nobody with Jared Leto, and the premise of the movie is this guy who can do the same thing that I can. That like he's just constantly thinking and planning and analyzing, and he always found himself in these situations where the best course of action was taking no course of action whatsoever. And what ended up happening was he was the last human being alive. Everybody else was immortal except for him. But he lived a life pretty much in his head, kind of like what I'm doing, which I'm like, oh my god, that's not good. I can't just keep on like fantasizing about stuff. I have to start doing things. And this, listen, I know that's like a little paranoia. Told you, showing you how I get through anxiety, and that's what that was. That was just me getting through an anxiety attack. Just a little one, nothing major. I mean, you gotta go start with baby steps before you can. You gotta crawl before you can walk. It's not baby steps. Baby before you can walk. Oh, knows that. Stupid. So see how I was just kind of just letting it go, just talking about it. It's something that people aren't very secure in themselves in doing, which is understandable because it's not easy to do, to open up with people. I've been, and this goes back to kind of where I started with this was like to pay attention to people and I see how people act around themselves and shit. Not around themselves, but how people behave in certain situations. Mostly it's people around my life, but I mean, that just is what it is. I watch people. I like to understand people. It's when you understand people, you know their likes, you know their dislikes, and it's like manipulation. It's like brainwashing in this sort of way because you're learning how to make people like you, and not necessarily make people like you. No. Make people tolerate you. I don't know. That was the word that just came to my head. Well, I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, people that tolerate you. Yeah, that makes sense. Because it's all that we do. That's all that everyone does, right? I think that is just human nature. You make yourself into who you need to be for people to tolerate you enough to not kick you out on your ass. I think everyone does that, right? I think. I mean, watching people, and not just people I know, but even people that I don't know. People all have like the same tells and the same signs, and I know this because I've seen all those same signs in myself, and I know what those signs mean because I analyze myself so much that I know everything about me. Well, I know most everything about me. I mean, still learning things every now and then. Like I have issues like everybody else that I have a hard time dealing with, like being myself around people and smoking. I'm immature, but I'm immature for a reason, and I like to smoke for a reason, and I do all the things I do for a reason. So, just like everybody else, it's just the things I do are different. Which, perfect. That's why when I started getting into the occult stuff, it seemed very comfortable. It was very not just comfortable, but it made sense. I understood it. I imagine someone like your entire life you've been speaking a different language to everybody else, right? And I'm sure you can relate in some way, shape, or form that like it's hard to communicate with people on a personal level. So you usually keep all your stuff inside. So what the occult stuff was, it helps you look at the stuff inside so that it's easier to talk about. Because once you look at it inside, you don't give a shit anymore. And not that you don't give a shit. It's not that you don't give a shit. It's that you don't give a shit about feeling bad about it in such a way that you're not mad at the other person anymore, because yeah, it's a two-way street with everything. And I'm not just talking about my own. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm in my own personal situations as well, but like I have multiple layers in my life that revolve around a very large number of people more than usual, and or at least it seems more than usual now that am paying attention more to how many people are actually affected by my actions. So when I say there's more people than usual, it's the same number of people. It's just, oh, I didn't realize it had that big of an effect um, on a single person. And sometimes not even like a few out, and you just go, oh, geez, I didn't mean that. So when I do things, I like to. Big problem of mine was once I didn't think before I acted. Well, you know what? I never said that. Someone else said that. Someone else told me that was my problem, that I didn't think before I acted. And I always thought I did think before I acted, which always didn't make any sense. Blacklighting, motherfucker. Not blacklighting, moon. What the fuck's it called? Gaslighting. Blacklighting. 13. Hold on, just writing a name and a reminder for myself. Gaslighting me to think I need to think before I act. Because here's the thing. Well, no, that's, I guess maybe, no, there was definitely times where I didn't think before I acted. A lot of times I didn't think before I acted. So many times I didn't think before I acted. But, um, but, over time, over the course of my life to this point, I can look back and say about those times I didn't think before I acted, why they ended up working out. I like to say that the future proves the past. I say that a lot. I hinted at a project that I'm working on right now where it involves me reading all 14 of my books backwards to find clues, because here's the thing, if I've been doing when I say like I see things sometimes, like yeah, I get like little visions of what the future could be, potentialities. But it's weird. Sometimes certain people in certain situations is very specific, and when those specific things happen, it's like oh okay, and then I don't know, just the way things start to play out in life. Have a easy way of showing you, yeah, that thing you just saw might be a little bit closer to reality than you thought. A little patience, my boy. And you know what happens then is that you start to get impatient, and then you start to rush and do things. But that's part of the magical experience, per se. In that you can sometimes, this is weird. I feel my mom watching this. What that means is, you know when people, and you know, I think everybody knows what I mean. But when you feel somebody like someone that's not there, literally someone's not there, it's just me. Do you feel someone's presence? Usually when I record these, I can feel the people that are watching it. I know they're not. That's why I say shit like you may not be watching, or people who are going to watch in the future. The reason I'm saying that is because at that particular moment, my mind is making me feel exactly what it is I would feel if I knew that there was millions of people watching me. So, like I get, and why do I say millions? Because it's potentiality. Of course it is. It's the goal. I mean, I have a lot to say. I want to say a lot of things, especially about the magical stuff that I'm talking about. That's what I want to do. Um, when I first started getting into it, when I first started really studying it for myself, at least. No. When I first started just getting into it in general, and when I started to notice my interest peak, it was at that time that I realized it was what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just remembered thinking I want to be the best at this. I want to know this as fully and truly as I can. I want to be better than everybody else. It's a thing of mine. I like being the best at stuff. I sometimes I get too focused, but too focused means nothing. That's not what I mean. I get very devoted into the things that I do. People say it's too focused, but I mean, I think people who say it's too focused are too. Um, they're just not as happy with themselves that they're not that focused in on something. But that doesn't mean people can't change. I like to. I do I live my life to inspire. Um, inspire people to do the same thing as me. Because my life is really fun. And I have shitty days just like everybody else. I have struggles just like everybody else. I have money problems just like everybody else. I have relationship problems like everybody else. I have career problems like everybody else. It's just I do things differently. I don't clock in to a place 9 to 5. Um, this work that I do. I mean, the average person works about 1,000 hours a year on average. And this is not just to brag. This is to brag. This is a humble brag. This is to get a point across that where like the average person they work about 1,000 hours a year on average. I mean, you have people that are more committed to their craft. I'm not saying everyone's like this. I mean, um, hi, how are you? Okay. I haven't even checked. Cindy? No. Okay. Okay. Whatever. Oh, so it was gonna be yoga. Oh, that's pretty cool. Right. Oh, wait, so yeah, and they're still doing the open mic too, right? Oh, yeah. If it was in Ocean City, I think last night, some coffee shop. Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll send an email out to the group. Yeah, because I don't think they'll ignore. I'm sure somebody will answer. There's a lot of people on this group. Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely work. Yeah, it's good. All right. I'm just doing some practice classes on recording myself. Yeah. Yeah. Bye. That was my mom. We're part of this. I'm helping her out with this recovery group that I used to work with. I talked about them before. Um, they're hosting a event this weekend for addiction awareness in the city of Atlantic, which is Atlantic City in New Jersey. And my mother and I are going to be doing this. Well, she's doing massages. I'm going to help her by getting people to get massages, hanging out with people. I can't massage. I don't have a license, and so yeah, it's going to be the shouter. Massages. So that should be interesting. You volunteers, you volunteer time in Atlantic City. You need a photographer. Absolutely need a photographer. I don't know if they need a photographer anymore. No, they said as many photographers as possible, but whatever. I'm not promoting that anymore, though. I'm not a big fan of addiction awareness. I'm an addict. That's why. And nobody needs awareness on addiction. What am I an addict of? I'm an addict of magic. It's I don't even need it. Really don't need it. Like, because it's just living. I mean, unless you're gonna, you can't really teach it. Oh no! See, that's how depressing this is, because it's like I've just been really realizing with the cards and stuff is like you don't even need them. They're just, I mean, they're cool. You can do really cool shit with them, and you can really, there's a lot of cool shit to learn. And you can have really interesting conversation. Well, you know what? Maybe it's that goddamn Virgo. There's a really pretty girl that I listen to her readings. Star Girl, she's really hot. But I think she did, like most of these people. They do it for chicks, so they don't. I don't think people, because it's mostly like chicks that are into magic and shit, which I ain't even playing. I mean, how many girlfriends have I had over past year? I mean, friends that are girls date anybody. Well, and you know what? I don't even know. Like, people would take me out. I would have these just like long experiences with women. Nothing ever, no funny business. I was still married, and I mean, plus I didn't have the opportunity, and plus I wasn't really feeling it that way. Though I did try to explore a few options, but those options didn't always work out. No, they didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted them to, but they worked out exactly how I needed them to. Writing down notes, just because normally I would be doing this by myself, and I like to keep track of what certain things so that later on I could write about them, because though I just lost all my faith in my craft, there's a very interesting science behind how these things work. And that is something that I want to teach, or at least better understand even for myself. I mean, I don't, it doesn't matter to me if anybody else knows it, because I've learned to make a living out of it. Just have to make the money out of it, which I don't know. I don't know if that happens. I'm trying to figure it out, because I have no idea. I have no idea. My mother actually had a really good idea, said it well. She was trying to get people to help volunteer to do massages, and all of her friends, and they all said no. And the school masseuses, they said no. All the students all said no. I mean, granted, they said they all had barbecues and shit to do, but it sounds like baloney to me. 15 people all gotten barbecues to go to. I don't know. I mean, like, is Labor Day weekend? It's a Saturday for an hour and a half. I don't know. I feel like that it's going to be more enjoyable than just going to get drunk. I mean, listen, getting drunk and hanging out with people sounds fun, but I mean, my mother said it right. It's just like, well, you give your time away, and the universe gives you back. I mean, is that even true? I don't know. What happened when I did cards all of that last year for people, like 150 readings, not on my own. Was it 100? No, it was about 150 by the end of the summer, over 3 months, and then plus all the ones I was doing on myself. I don't even really do them anymore. Sometimes it's hard to see what they mean now. Like one just came up, it made me think of my ex. Yeah, the Mother of Wands. So the reason, so this is how they work. Okay, so here's the secret. The class is to teach yourself how to read tarot cards for yourself, by the way. This isn't just to teach anybody who can, you have to read cards. Not anyone can do this. It's real easy. Because it works the same way as the people who tell fortunes. There's more to what they're doing than just telling you what's going to happen. You can see the future. And when you say shit to people, you put an imprint on them. It's like clay. Poke a hole with your finger, it's going to leave a dent. When you say shit to people, it leaves like a little subconscious belief, which it goes deeper than that, but that's probably the most familiar way to say it, is that it leaves like a subconscious imprint on you. And you will, if you believe it to be true, you will subconsciously start to make things happen. So you'll start finding yourself doing things that you wouldn't normally be doing, or maybe it's just a very slow process that takes a lot of time. And by the time you even notice it, it's already done. It's very interesting because it's almost systematic. There's an intelligent design behind it, and that's what I'm studying, is the the process behind the process, the reason that everything happens for a reason. I know they say you're the reason that everything happens for a reason, and yeah, you are the reason everything happens for a reason, because somehow, some way, I can't explain it just yet. The best way I can think to explain it is that the future version of me is telepathically telling me what to say, but I know there's no future. It's just the future's in your head. You create what it is that you want by doing the things that are you have a vision in your head of what you want, okay? And then you get these impulses to do things. Those impulses are there for a reason. Those impulses are there to push you along on your journey to get to where you want to go. I mean, you can't push too far. There is going too far, I think. Well, it depends on how far is too far. Think of it like this: is the more you try to make something happen, the longer it takes for it to happen, which is essentially the most important aspect to all of this, is to understand that when you can learn to put the pieces together, we'll say, you're constantly doing it, because it's like a game almost, where there's puzzle pieces, and if you know what to look for, you can start figuring things out. It's like almost markers to go, this, you want to go this way. If that's what you want to do, that way. If that's what you want to do, go that way. Because you can always like change things up and move things around, and there's never ever this static. See, here's the thing. This is where I don't really like this. I'm going into uncharted territory with it, because though since I've been doing it and like writing everything down, I've noticed how my external life is very reflective of what I write about. And then sometimes not. Sometimes it's just in my head. So I think it's all in my head. So I've been told it's all in my head. Well, and what I've learned is never listen to anybody. Because, and here's the fucked up thing. It kind of scares me a little bit. Usually people always act. I was, oh my God. I feel like it's going to turn into a torture room. Maybe it was a torture room. I don't know. I get this strong sense of somebody being tortured in this room. I feel like it's me. But not like, all right. So this is like, remember I was saying like I record weird shit, so this is one of those weird things. I also talk to spirits. And so I believe. I mean, listen, I've had some weird experiences. You can't tell me that I didn't experience what I've experienced. I've experienced some very heavy shit that believe me, that if you were with me or you experienced something like this on your own, then yeah, you think twice about mocking that. But I have a very strong feeling that there is somebody, which is something I've been feeling for a while. I get this woman that comes to my head once in a while, a woman with red hair. Name starts with an M. I don't know what it is. And I told you I do demon work with people who do channeling and shit, and I actually learned how to do it from watching people. Do that or not? And it's not that hard. It's actually really easy. I taught people how to do it. It's actually a very simple skill. And it's kind of almost like telepathy in a sense. It's exactly telepathy. That's why I can soberly say, and no, somehow I just don't feel fun. I can soberly say that I hear the future version of me in my head. Sometimes I think it's me. Well, that's what he says he is. I don't know. Sometimes he calls himself the devil. I don't know. The devil made me do it, but it's a song. It's actually an old song, very catchy. Who made you do it? The devil made me do it. It's kind of a fucking weird song. I have this urge to watch The Omen. Yeah, that was weird. I have weird intuitions like that sometimes. Sometimes they're fucking right, man. I've had this friend in Vegas. We were doing an experiment. I was teaching her how to talk to fucking spirits. Talking to her grandmother, and oh my god, that was. I actually would love to talk to her one day to get her to talk about the shit that we were like looking into. Even my other friend from Australia, she was like, oh my god. She'd probably enjoy that. I said they probably all would. So not a bad idea. I've been making a lot of girlfriends, so I'm sure they would all love to talk to me. Who works on shit like this? I say girlfriends. It's dumb. I guess. I don't know. Well, no, I didn't do anything. I always wonder that if that's what they're thinking, though. They have it, like, but then, I mean, I think everyone's like that. I don't know. I get very, like, concerned with when it comes to, like, sex for some reason. I've always been, like, I'm always very shy about sex. And when I feel something going on that I don't want to have go on, like, I kind of shut down. But I think it's me, probably just me. I mean, everything is. Write that down because that's actually quite important. All the problems that I need to solve, I definitely need to solve my subconscious fears of sex. I'm always like, especially you know what it gets me is I get freaked out when I talk to girls. I was talking to this about this. I just hear. I get freaked out when I talk to girls a lot. I don't understand why. Not so much anymore, but I used to. No, I still do. But there was this one night when I did. Oh, you know what? That's a fucking weird. I was just fucking talking about her today. In fact, I met somebody from Canada that I've been talking to. She made me remember. She made me think of this person. It was like this person I knew. Well, I'd known him for a while. It was just like we had like I had a thing for this little bit, but it was a whole long story with it. It was a bet that went the wrong way, and yeah, this chick's mom. I was trying to like do something with these cards for a while because I saw what they were doing with me. I had this idea of incorporating psychology and tarot cards because I had heard that's kind of the avenue that the cards were originally used for. Was for like an ancient form of therapy, but I didn't realize it was for yourself. It's your own therapy, and originally what I was doing was I had human test subjects all over the fucking world that I was trying out these cards on to see what was capable with them and what I could do, what I was capable of with them, and it was like really fucking interesting because as I was learning to use the cards, people were telling me their stories because what I would do is I would ask questions based on what theme of the card and the demon that was they represent demons, but you gotta understand demons are angels. It's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's a vibration. I mean, it can think, it's real. They're fucking scary as fuck, believe me. I can tell you Flavros is a thing. I don't know if its name really. Well, no, its name would be Flavros. It absolutely would be. So shout out to Flavros in the ethereal realm because it's not cat. It's an energy, and the energy is there, and it can grab my body really quick because I can feel him standing right behind me. It's very weird, and I think I'm not getting goosebumpy yet, but I feel kind of like a chill. Yeah, it's a little bit stuff. Not really. Oh, there it is. Yeah, a little bit up here. Like you can feel things sometimes. And I always say, because you know what, this is karma coming back at me, because I was just fucking having a conversation with someone recently about, there's a door there, fucking creepy ass fucking spot in the house. I've been lifting like major fucking energy, down here all fucking day. I've been cleaning up a little bit and like straightening up, and there was a couple times where I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm releasing something gnarly. Like some of my dad's stuff's here. My aunt who died the year prior, her stuff is here. This is a fucking redheaded woman with fucking hair all the time, which I can't fucking stand. Sometimes it makes you think, oh, crazy, but no, it's yes and no. It's like I said, it's like telepathy. Get the fuck out of here, man. Get the fuck out of here. There's a way you have to talk to them. It's a long story, but you can't just get the fuck out of here. You're invisible. No. Look. Fuck out of here. It's a vibration. It's an energy. It's a consciousness. It has thoughts. Depression. Think of people with depression. They all pretty much act the same. They have the same general feelings about them. Stop. And same thing with people with schizophrenia. And I probably seem very schizophrenic, I would imagine. I would have to, because I clinically, I have it. I just talked to an invisible cat man to prove a point. Is that, yeah, from the perspective of someone who believes in schizophrenia, yes, I have schizophrenia. But from the perspective of someone like me who can explain why I behave that way, and who I was just talking to, and why I was just talking to him the way that I was talking to him, then we're saying the same thing. You're simplifying it, though. You're not giving it the justice that it deserves. You're not actually explaining what it is, because you don't even know what it is. And through a year and a half of trial and error, like I said before, like most people that do their job for about 1,000 hours a year, I mean, I've sunk in probably about 13,000 hours within the past year and a half. That number probably, well, maybe 2 years, we'll call it 2 years. Because it was around October last year, 2017, where I really actually got started in this. But November, the beginning of November, like the end of October, beginning of November, I was right around there. But technically, it's been a part of me my entire life. It just hasn't been this prevalent before. Kind of, yeah, no. It's always been there. It's actually always been a part of my life. When I was 8 years old, when I was 8 years old, or maybe even younger, my grandmother had me like watching fucking alien movies and shit. I got like a serious phobia about aliens, which I haven't had in a fucking long ass time, and I feel one coming on right now. Because I always feel them behind me, and that's a fucked up thing. Like my ex, my son, they all know that Dad's afraid of aliens. Well, it turns out they're fucking true. That's why. And the thing is, like, your brain is like a decoder for things that are around you. Fucking hell. God damn it. So there's like a pack of them right behind me. I can see them in my head. And that's the thing, is your intuitive mind, your imaginative mind, your imagination mind, the make-believe mind is actually the real one. Because your eyes can only see so much of the visible spectrum. There's an entire spectrum of reality that you don't even know of. That's where your dead family goes to. That's where stop. I don't even want to know if that was real or not. It's just like this. Should have been air moving to move whatever just moved. It just looked like a little ruffle. Fucking basement scare, dude. So I'm afraid of the fucking basement. Fuck you. And the reason I'm afraid of it, for good reason, so I stopped being afraid of it. So what I was saying was, like, these alien guys that were behind, get the fuck out of here now, because now you're pissing me off. You have to show them who's the boss. It's like I used to be afraid of the dark all the time, even like growing up, even before, even during this process, up until last year. Um, I used to sleep. I still do. I sleep with my legs crossed. I've done it since I was a fucking kid. And the reason I sleep with my legs crossed is because I'm afraid of um, monsters at the end of my bed. I've always been, since I was a kid, for as long as I can remember. Then one day I saw this. This was like I think I was in my 20s. I saw this fucking documentary. No, I'm afraid of fucking aliens and shit. But I watch that shit constantly. Like not anymore. I used to. I would watch it to make myself afraid of it. And I hate being scared. I hate it. Driving nuts. I'll just write that down. Yeah, I got a lot of homework to do. What the fuck, man? It's like now I'm getting all fucking jumpy. So this is what it's like when I used to. I even write the word down, so it scares the fuck out of me. Having a flashback the last time this happened. You can feel them in your mind. These, not really aliens, they're fears, they're traumas that are coming up. It was right when I got into the occult. I remember the specific day. I don't remember the day off the top of my head, but there was a something that they can remind me exactly. Well, I have the notes. I just have to go back and find them. And Enoch, I was talking to some guy about Aleister Crowley. He's one of the first people that actually made sense. We were talking about aliens. That's what it was. He was trying to tell me that aliens were actually demons. He told me to read the Book of Enoch, which is a book in the Bible about this guy Enoch, who is actually similar to Hermes Trismegistus. Hermes Trismegistus is this god throughout. Jumping. Is this god throughout history, mythology. He plays a role in like almost every mythology, just a different name. Well, not him personally, but the essence of him. Hermes is just no, because Hermes has his own fucking religion too. Not even a religion, a philosophy. Medics. Oh, that's right. Hermes is like a hero of mine, and I would say probably a past life too. If you believe in that sort of thing, you don't have to. But I had thought so once before. I went to this tarot reader last year, and she told me the same thing that I was thinking, that I had already thought about, like that possibly I was a reincarnation of Hermes. And she actually said that I was an Egyptian priest in a past life. I remember she said that. I laughed. I even said to her, I'm like, I knew you were gonna fucking say that. Actually, she actually said a couple things that were really interesting. Like that was probably one of the best readings I had. I love tarot readings. They're incredibly fun to do. I said that people that do it, they're kind of, there's more to it. Yeah, there's more to it, but I like doing them because it's awesome for people to tell me the shit I already know, the shit I've been writing down, the shit I've been saying. It's really fucking cool. It's a really cool experience. You gotta be open to it though. It's not the same as reading it for yourself. It's completely different. It's hugely different, and it's not even like reading for other people. That's the fucked up part. It's like I gotta. I mean, I could read like fortune tellers, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit gross of a craft. I don't believe in telling people their fortune because the future is not set. The future is kind of like it's malleable. Yeah, there's aspects of it that you can't change. There's aspects that you can't fully affect. I don't know. I'm testing that theory. I'm testing that. It's 9/11. Isn't that interesting? That number pops up a lot for me. I always pay attention to when it does. Fortune telling. Oh, that's a really good idea. Fortune telling. I don't know. I have this idea. Interactive. Oh my god. Oh my god. That was a hell of a fucking yeah. That actually makes sense. Would I just have thought of it? Whatever. I don't give a fuck. Give my ideas away for free. There was a guy the guy that invented polio. Respect that man very much. I don't think that you should sell your secrets. Certain things. You gotta see this thing. This is actually really it's really more of a business plan because I would need to make money off that. I need to test it first. I don't need someone else to test it for me. Sorry. Fuck it. It's a good idea though. It's a really fucking good idea. I need people to do it though. So if you need some help, I'll explain it to you. If you would like to help me, rather, I need help. That's really what it is. I even want to use the card. I don't really even need to use the cards for that. I just fucking tell you what the fuck is wrong with you just by you telling me. Just tell me the truth. What the fuck is wrong with your life? What do you need help with? I can tell you what to do, how to get there. What do you want? Where is it you want to go? Tell me where it is that you want to go, and tell me what's going on, and then I can tell you how to fucking get there. What do you need to do? It's very simple. It's not hard. I should be doing this for myself, right? I do this for myself, though. But where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? Ask yourself these questions. That's what I'm going to do. What are you willing to lose? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing? My mom actually just inspired that thought. This because I was Brandon. What are you willing to let go of? Lose? What are you willing to lose / let go of? She had said she was talking to a friend and said that if like what do you need? What do you need if you need to leave right this second? If you need to leave right this second. What do you need with you? She said like she can just be the fuck out and not need anything. That's a very good thing because everyone's got something that they're holding on to. And I started thinking when she said that, I'm like, fuck, well, what would I? What am I afraid to let go of? And first, immediately, I thought of these were the first things I thought of. Is that sick? No. These are my friends. I'm gonna have to let go of them one day, but I ain't ready now. I say friends because each one has a personality. That's the most amazing part. That's where the science of it is really the most interesting because each one has a specific personality and they trigger a specific person within my head. So let me explain how I think of it when I look at it. Look at it, it's called the Mother of Wands. Wands is what that means. It represents it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Stick. People will set me on fire for saying that, but fuck it. The Mother of Wands, so I'm thinking of almost like a motherly figure. There's a snake. Yeah. So maybe a fucking weasel. But then again, the serpent is, in some traditions, the serpent is a symbol of intelligence. For instance, in the ancient Egyptian times, which is where the cards allegedly date back to, you'll notice on the pharaohs, they have the hooded head masks and they got a snake coming out. Snake represents the third eye, the wisdom, your imaginative brain, because your imagination is what creates the world around you. Because you think it, then once you think it, really what you should be doing is figuring out how to get there. Most of us kind of just think of shit and we just don't even worry about it anymore. We just forget about it because we don't think it's ever going to happen to us, and so it never happens. But when you allow yourself to be open to the possibility that, yeah, these things that I want could happen, they may happen, they will happen, they are happening, oh my God, they happened. The reason for that is this part of your brain, this part of your mind. It's your creative brain, it's your creative mind. It's what helps you create. You are the creator of the world you live in, unless you let someone else do it for you. I don't know how you live, and I don't want to make assumptions, but I know how I lived, and I lived my life not with people telling me what to do, but me living my life on how I thought I should live it based on what I was seeing around me. Kind of like brainwashing, but without getting brainwashed. I don't think anybody was intentionally making me do anything. I hope not. But if they were, then that's their fault because I figured it out. So, haha, dickheads. Which could be bad because maybe this will lead to me being tortured, because if this dark sickness is that bad in people, then eventually people are not going to want me to say anything anymore, and then they'll probably throw me in a chair like this and cut off my toes and fingers. I hope that's not a premonition. That would suck. I like all of those things. At least right now. Because maybe I'll find a reason not to one day, and when people are trying to chop me up into tiny bits. You know what? I mean, realistically, in the metaphysical philosophy, there's an energetic version, like Jedi. When Yoda goes to Luke, he's like, these beings of crude matter. You think this is what we are? No, we're luminous built beings, and that's exactly what we are. There's a lot of wisdom in the ancient teachings and with what the Jedi believed. I think I made the pronouncement that I was a Jedi the other day, and fuck yeah, no, I know that. I figured that out on May 4th. No. May the 4th be with you. I figured that out on May 4th this year, which coincidentally, and I don't believe in coincidences, how interesting. It was the first time I ever got a tarot reading. It was the first time. And it was what led to my separation. It was what inspired me to go through with my plans for my life. Interesting. But I realized that day that I was a Jedi, and it's just been kind of confirmed multiple times over and over again, especially when I had to put Mark Hamill in his place on Twitter, which I felt so bad about. Felt really bad about, but he was being a dick. He deserved it. He's a very nice man, though. Very smart. He says cool stuff that most people don't get. And I believe he actually is a Jedi too. I believe he is, like a real one. Because there are some around, and they hide in plain sight, which is weird. Which I guess is kind of like how they were in the movie and books. So anyway, so I guess if people like were cut off my fingers and my toes and my hands, I mean, there's a chance that an energetic hand might come out. I mean, philosophically, metaphysically speaking, it's possible, but I don't want to risk that. Like Obi-Wan, just like Obi-Wan. Strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. It's true. Because really, And realistically, the Force is just that. It's an energetic, it's an intelligent, energetic force. And rewatch the movie sometime, and look past the setting that it's thousands and thousands of years ago, and spaceships and all that. Take that away. Think about the experiences though that they're having. There's a lot of coincidences and things just happening conveniently that lead the story along the way. But now imagine that really was not just a plot device, that it was actually a real thing that was happening, that the Force, they said, may the Force be with you, and think of the Force as like almost guiding them along their path. The Force is showing them the way of showing them the way to get to what they want to do, which is destroy the Empire. And think of it like up until the movie, up until when Vader threw Palpatine. It's fucking real. It's totally real. It's absolutely real. It's 100% real, that movie. I mean, I can't say that happened specifically, but I mean, there's a possibility. I mean, there's an infinite number of universes and galaxies and multiverses out there. I mean, who's to say that Star Wars never actually took place or has taken place yet? So, what I'm saying from that is, this is kind of looping back around to what I was saying about the past, future proves the past, which is something I learned from QAnon. It's not my own thing. QAnon taught me that, and I don't think a lot of the people who follow QAnon, they pay attention to that. Which I've been telling a lot of people that I've been meeting on Twitter too. They're like, "Oh, where do you know all this stuff from?" Go to my YouTube, my fucking Twitter, and come here. I tell everything. I tell everybody everything. Why I know what I know, how I know it. So like, you just got to go from right now backwards, because it makes more sense when you go backwards. Or maybe it's the other way around. That's why I want to read my book backwards, because I want to see if, when you know, well, technically, because I already lived it, so it might even be enjoyable for other people. But I already know what's happened in my life, and maybe there's an event or something that I forgot about, or a sequence of events that I missed that could lead to maybe a clue or an answer of what I should be doing right now. Because everything takes precedent. Everything has like a precedent order. And what I mean by that is, I mean, the shit in my life I need to take care of. I need to figure out what have I been missing? What have I not been putting energy and thought into? But do I really need to do that? Because I already know. Me, and no, maybe not. I don't know. Or is this all a distraction? Because everything's a distraction anyway, to keep us from looking at the things that we need to be doing in our lives. And that's kind of the magic of it too. Is some of the reason why you call it magic, is that it kind of points you in the direction of like, hey, come on, it's time to, you got other things too. So what I'm saying was, watch Star Wars backwards, and you'll see how everything that happened, everything happens for a reason. Go back to Star Wars, watch it backwards, and then realize how the movies, the sequence of events, forget the fact that the movies, imagine that they were actual things, they were real life situations that people were put in. Look at it that way. Don't look at it as make-believe. Look at it that it really fucking happened. And you'll see that everything happened exactly the way that it had to happen for things to happen the way that they happened. In other words, the future proves the past. Mark backwards. If any of those sequence of events that brought Luke to the Emperor and Vader on Endor, if any of those events leading up to that moment changed in any way, shape, or form, things wouldn't have ended the way that they did. There might still be a second Death Star, and it may have wiped out the Rebel Alliance. What would have happened if the Empire had won? I think that's a more interesting story that probably should have been explored. And maybe that is the point of this new series. Maybe that's what they're trying to build up to, is that past is because there was a series of books that had just been released for ages after Star Wars, that just kind of told this whole grand story of what was going on afterward. And Disney bought it out and just kind of replaced everything. So, and I can't imagine that they would want Star Wars to fail. That doesn't make any sense unless they realize that Star Wars is like just enough already. Someone has to fucking put a fucking stake in its heart. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're trying to ruin it on purpose. The second one sucked, Last Jedi. I don't know. It didn't suck. It just, my expectations were not met, and I don't know why. I feel like there was a lot of there's too much going on. It's too much. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like there was that I forget whether I haven't seen it in a while. That I haven't seen since it was in the fucking theater. The Casino Planet, and just that whole sequence almost seemed as if it didn't need to be there at all. It was just a waste of time. I think Benicio del Toro's character was only, once they left the planet, then he was kind of like out, right? I forget. I just remember there was a lot of shit going on that I didn't need to know. It didn't matter. It really didn't matter at all. Not to the grand scheme of what was going on, at least where the last movie had left off. It didn't have the same effect as Empire, I guess. No, in a sense. I mean, no, because it progressed things with Luke going to Dagobah, and you get that whole new aspect of what being a Jedi is. You just actually get to see the training, but they don't get into the real deep stuff, because I understand Jedi training incredibly. It's actually very simple. It's a very simple philosophy, and well, Jedi and Sith. You know, the Sith are the bad guys. Everyone knows the Sith, but if we even talk about this in Jedi terms, because realistically, what magic is basically the Force, and you have people that use it for evil, and you have people who use it for good. And believe it or not, and I'm just basing this all on my conspiracy work and research that I've done, and I've done a lot, so much. That's where all this even came from, was just chasing conspiracy theories that all turned out to be true in their own way. And learned a lot of really cool shit. And what I've really learned is Star Wars is real. Not only that, but there's really a Force, which is very fucking awesome. And there are energy people, like Obi-Wan. You just can't see them. Well, you can see them here. You can feel them. Oh, fucking feel them. They're like tingles and fucking goosebumps. They're like fucking hell. That's where we get the idea from demon from, because these energies, they come on. They don't. Who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? You don't belong here. This is my place. When people come down here, this is how they're supposed to feel. And you're coming in my fucking joint. You're clearing this air out. I don't like it. Energy exists. Consciousness exists whether you see it or not, whether you want to believe in it or not. Ghosts may not be like a fucking dude with fucking sheet over his head fucking holding chains. I don't know. I haven't seen that. I don't want to. I prefer not to. You know, I would think it's pretty cool to see ghosts. And I think that's kind of the next step is that. So, I'm back. Watching out for them crickets. So yeah, that's real. It's like kind of a really neat, interesting conception. In a sense, I mean, like, you have to understand metaphysics in order to understand it. I mean, you can't just fucking walk up to my mom and be like, "Oh, fucking Jedi are real. The Force is real. It's only a matter of time till I can fucking move things with my hand, with my mind." Literally, I believe it's possible. It's called telekinesis. People have been claiming to be doing it for fucking thousands of years. Like you never saw it, you just don't believe in it. Fuck that, man. Never saw fucking an alien up close, but I know they're real. I can prove that. If you believe that energy is consciousness, which I believe it is, because my understanding of consciousness, and you have to understand that my studies of consciousness have all been proven correct by me. Though I can't prove it to you, I don't need to prove it to you. You don't want to take my word for it, then why the hell should I take your word that I'm wrong? It's as simple as that. And if you're going to believe the guy who told you what you believe, because that's all the only reason why you believe what you believe, because you were told to believe that, and people have a hard time understanding that. They like to say, "I did research, I did this." Oh, yeah, because you were reading someone else's words. I'd like to do that too, but I also like to integrate those ideas with my own and see if any of my ideas are better than those. Um, that's why I was just coming up with that idea about Star Wars and changing the story and seeing what would happen if the Empire had won, because it would be very interesting to find out what the Emperor would have done had he secured his victory. And you know what? I think I would probably say it couldn't have happened. It actually couldn't have happened any other way. No. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Vader would have had to kill Palpatine no matter what. Two people had to die. Two people had to die in order for balance to be brought to the Force. Balance to the Force was only one Force user. Maybe two. I was thinking about this recently with the story of Darth Bane. And the reason I was Darth Bane is like the original Sith Lord who started it all. He didn't start it all. There was a Sith Empire before that, a very big Sith Empire, but then he wiped them all out and he wiped out most of the Jedi too. So he had like, dude was sick. He wanted to be the best of what he was. He had a shitty life, grew up fucked up, and then he was eventually through a series of unexplainable events. Well, it was coincidental events that just were just further proof of the power of the Force, which he didn't even realize it at first. He didn't even like really notice these miracles that would happen, which are just no different from what would happen to either you or I. I mean, I've read. I was sort of reading it last year again. It's a fucking really good book, and I couldn't help but notice the similarities between. Not the exact similarities, but I can relate to the experiences that he was having, and at the frequency in which he was having them as well. And I actually do implement a few Sith and Jedi practices into my into my personal life, which is they have particular meditations that they use. And no, really, because Sith training actually got me to where I am today. So Jedi training, there's people who take this very seriously, and they have a regimen of the Sith customs, and they're actually very potent meditative devices, incredibly so. I mean, it actually, well, you know, and realistically, it is easy to get drawn to the dark side because the dark side is a real thing. I mean, you look at something like the church or government or any kind of ruling body within in your societal life, and when you get to the top of the hierarchy, everyone's someone else's bitch. You gotta ask yourself, who's in charge of the guys in charge? And I think the guys in charge of the guys in charge are the ones you can't see. Like, the Emperor wasn't in charge. Yeah, he was in charge of the galaxy. Yeah, no, that's we established that, but the Force, it's bigger than the galaxy. It's the universe. That think of the universe as like an egg, like a shell. It's always expanding. They said. Well, I mean, what is? It's in the Kabbalistic tradition. We'll loop this around. There is what's known as the Ein Sof, which is Hebrew for limitless light. Limitless light is kind of like the edge of the universe. Hermes, I was talking about Hermes earlier. He's got his own little philosophy. It's called Hermetics. 7 Hermetic principles. Very valuable philosophy that I keep on wanting to do a little lecture on because they're incredibly useful if you know how to see them in life, and they're visible, and they're around you everywhere, hidden in plain sight. It's interesting. It's a very interesting concept, especially when you really start to dig into it, because once you start to see it, then you want to know more about it because it's just amazing. It's incredibly potent with its potential of what can be done with it. I'm still trying to figure it out myself. I mean, I have ideas and I have theories and experiments that I'm doing just constantly with it all my life. My day-to-day is just so inundated with study and thinking and analyzing that it's actually really fucking draining. I need like, I'm definitely looking for a vacation soon. Some people in my life, they get the wrong impression of me, and they think I just fucking sit around. Not everybody, some people. At least I don't even know. You know, I don't know if they do. That's just in my head. I actually said that. I made stuff up in my head. Yeah, she's right. I make stuff up in my head. Well, I make up fears in my head because fear is one aspect of looking at things. And you know who's making me think that? It's this dickhead. The mastermind behind what's ever happening in the house. Because this house has a very bad energy in it. And it's not my mother, it's not my stepfather, it's not my brother, it's not me that's bringing it here. It's been here. It's old. And it doesn't like me at all. It has not been happy since I got here. But it won't let me leave. Because I feel it too. Because energy, like Amityville, that one. The guy goes fucking crazy. He fucking kills his family. The husband, that's how it works. It infects your mind. And that energy that's in the house. Because the Amity house, I mean, I think they had like a bad history. Like the guy killed his family, and then the new people came in, then they started going crazy and started seeing all weird shit. Well, that's kind of how it works. Is that energy from those people getting killed still in the house? It's there, and it tickles you. You don't know what it is. You get those goosebumps. You don't know what you're feeling, but you feel it breathing right down your fucking neck. You feel it touching your ears because it's trying to figure out what exactly you are, why you're not responding to it. Because it's intelligent. It has consciousness. Energy is consciousness. If you understand simulation theory, there you go. Simulation theory is probably the best way to explain God. Everything around you is a simulation. Imagine your eyes are a TV screen. Your brain is just the signal receiver, and just the energy around you is just what you see. You interact with only what you can interact with. You can't interact with anything that's not there. There are frequencies, for instance, the electromagnetic spectrum, which I like to bring up, that we can't see, we can't hear. I mean, you can only see you can't see ultraviolet light. Ultraviolet light does have a consciousness to it. This is like old stuff. I mean, and granted, you may not believe it, but I do. And the reason I believe it is for a very good reason, because I've interacted with this force, with this intelligence, and that, I can figure some shit out because I can have a very creative mind. And you know what? That's like the normal Muggle way of explaining. I'm just very creative, but am I making connections where connections aren't? Maybe, possible. Hey, listen, I go with this. One man's miracle is another man's coincidence. So It doesn't matter if people believe me or not. I was in this Twitter fight with this kid fucking yesterday. Not in a fight, but I play with people. I like to fuck with Satanists, the people who follow the Satanic Church. I mean, like, there's regular people. They're not even actual practitioners, but they call themselves atheists, all this stuff. I have to argue about the Bible and all this shit. Not that I'm a Bible person, for sure. Not actually, not like, no, I'm not. I would not wish Christianity on my worst enemy. No, I would. I would. They're a bunch of fucking. I don't know what they are. I tried infiltrating the church once, but my plans got foiled. I think I kind of alluded to that once. I was doing a goddamn good job too. I might still, I don't know. Infiltrate. What does it mean? I wanted to be a priest. I wanted to know what it was. I wanted to actually go to be a priest. I was working with a church by my grandmother, and I was kind of embarrassed by what I was witnessing. And what I mean by that is, I honestly, for a time, I still do. It's a call. Well, no, it's not that anymore. I know what it is now. It's a little bit more. You ever feel like you're called to something? Like, there's a good song. I'm getting nervous talking about this. It sounds so fucking stupid. It might not sound stupid because it's a great song, and if you're around my age, then you know the song already. It's the Kermit the Frog Rainbow Song. So if you listen to Rainbow Song and actually listen to the words, it's very meaningful and very deep and very profound, extremely profound song. Believe it or not. It is the awakening process, what people refer to as the awakening process. And what is that? It's awakening to an aspect of yourself that you have maybe thought was there, or maybe something you haven't really thought about in a long time. But it's waking up to it's something inside of you that has kind of been asleep. It's weird. It's really weird if I can explain. You can check out a bunch of people on YouTube who explain it way better than me. And what basically all they're doing is they're just talking about fucking their experiences. And it just happens to be that their experiences, and maybe it won't be the same for you that it was for me, but a lot of these people that I started to follow, like Victor Odo and Infinite Waters, and for a time there was this other guy, Global Witness, which he was more along the lines of QAnon stuff. So if you're not into conspiracy theories, you're definitely not going to like him. And now he's more like pushy on the Bible, and I'm sure he's doing it for very good reason. There's a lot of really fascinating knowledge to be obtained through the Bible. And if you are familiar with the Kabbalistic system and the real way it works, and they call it magic, but I think they call it magic to deter people from wanting to understand it. When you understand the Kabbalistic system, when you can understand its correspondence with the tarot cards, if you can understand its correspondence with astrology, with Hermeticism, if you're familiar with the term as above, so below, as within, as without, which is also known as the law of correspondence or the law of analogy. Basically what that means is that everything is a metaphor for something else, which is exactly how these cards work. So if we come back full circle on this, the point of what we're doing here is this Mother of Wands. Yeah, there's symbology all over this fucking card. Some of it I don't know, some of it I do know. What's important for you, though, is whether you know it or not, is you can read this card. And all you got to do is just stare at it. I don't want to influence you, but I'm going to influence you. So here, I'll give you like a couple seconds. Like, if you want, like, pause it and really think about what it means to you. Mother of Wands. Okay? Someone just popped in your head. Someone or something just popped in your head, and that's exactly what this means. There's a very specific person that popped in for me, and I'll go a little bit deeper into how my mind works with looking at this. The Mother of Wands is just kind of gripping on to those eggs, holding on. She doesn't want to let go of them. She's protecting them because she thinks they're in danger. Are they in danger? I don't know. Are they in danger for me? No. they in danger from you? Maybe. It's defensive. It's fine. It's normal. What happens when you have a defensive creature of any sort? You back off of it and you let it calm the fuck down. So, can this relate to my life? Absolutely, and in several different forms. Because how I was saying yesterday and I was saying before, how everything in our lives has multiple degrees in it. There's pick an aspect, work, right? Work. Think of work. There's a multitude of degrees and different things that you're involved with at that particular area of work that you're in. Your romance life, there is a sequence of degrees all mixed in there. Like certain things have certain values, certain things have lesser values, certain things have more values. There's people and even like your family, and some of these categories they merge and they kind of overlap. But what I'm getting at is, so for instance, no matter who you think of when you think of the Mother of Wands, you're not wrong. It could be more than one person. It doesn't have to be just anyone. It could be yourself. But what am I holding on to? Mother of Wands to me. What does it say to me? This is a Mother of Wands. This is a feminine energy. It's fire. Feminine is water. It's emotional. It's almost mental. It's almost mental. It's intuitive. It's psychic almost. What people would consider psychic. Wands is a fire energy. It's about action. It's about sometimes about taking action. It's an active energy. It's very masculine, where feminine would be passive. It's not women and man. It's not private parts. These are concepts. Men can have feminine attributes just as women can have masculine attributes. I'm sure we're familiar with the LGSB, all the different types of people, the colors of the rainbow that we have in existence. It's the same way with energetically. But there's actually a way to combine those. There's a way to be masculine and feminine at the same time. It's kind of the process that these are teaching, that these taught, that the Kabbalistic system taught, that all of the magical systems taught, what all the philosophies that birthed the religions that we know of today, that's what they all taught. It was kind of just this thing that was just known around the world. Like everybody taught it differently, but they all taught the same things, like Buddhism and Hinduism, like the original, like what Hinduism is about, not the they'll call them the dot heads, and you don't even know what the fuck they're fucking practicing, dude. And you probably should, because it's some smart shit. And that dot head, it actually represents your third eye. Same thing with the Egyptians with the fucking snake. Same thing with Christ with his fucking Sacred Heart, and they all have different names. It's all fucking the same thing, talking about the same different ways of explaining the same thing. It's like science and religion. Scientists use different terms than religionists do to explain the sun. Oops. Didn't mean to blow that one. But you don't have to believe me. Sure, there's some part of your ego that's fighting that, going, no, they're not talking about the sun, they're talking about God, and God isn't real. Well, God is real. God is the sun, because the story of the Bible, the story of Christ, is the story of the sun through the zodiac. The story of the Old Testament is kind of, it's an allegory for the awakening process, we'll call it. What some people call the awakening process is the Old Testament is a blueprint for that, if you know how to read it properly. And what I mean by read it properly is you need to read between the lines. And you know what? I'm not saying that everybody's going to read it the same way as me. No. It's just that there was a time in human history where there was a sect of Christianity that did interpret the Bible similar to how I did it. Similar, not the same. No, it wasn't even a sect of Christianity. Christianity wasn't even a thing. Like I said, the Jewish religion isn't really a thing. It's a cult. It's a cult based on the practices of the real Israelites, which are the Kabbalistic people, children of Israel. Israel, my struggle with God. It's a very, fuck, we'll get into it. It's all part of the same science. If you understand it as a science, you don't have to. You can call it fucking bullshit. It doesn't really matter. But this is how I understand, how I know it as, and what it represents is, and what do I mean? Israel, I struggle with God. Israel is in Hebrew. It's a Hebrew word. When you translate to English, it means I struggle with God. The children of Israel, the that are spoken of in the Bible, aren't the Jews of today. They're the precursor of. It's like that. There's like Adam and Eve. They were like the original people, and they made all the other people the same way. The Christians, they came from the Jewish religion, and even still, how do you explain this properly? Because, and give me a moment here, because it can happen. It will happen. Okay, think of it like this, and I have absolutely no proof for this. There was a time where every person on the planet understood the same thing. You have to understand that things like astrology and cards have been around a very long time. And just because you don't believe in astrology doesn't mean it doesn't work. That's a really cool thing about it. But it's only going to work for you as much as you believe in it. This is catch-22 too. But it works. And I can use it to tell you things about you. Well, I personally can't, because I don't know it very well. It's a really complex. Well, you know what? It's really not that complex. It's not that complex because I have a fucking book documenting my life, so I can actually see what was going on during certain astrological events, to see how they coincide, because they do. I also watch reports on astrology on YouTube, and I like to watch them after the fact, because they kind of prove that, yeah, these people, these energies, these things are real, because you're explaining exactly what I just went through after I went through it. That's when it gets cool. That's what makes you want to do it more, and that's what kind of freaks you out at first. When this first all started coming together for me is when I freaked out a lot, because I didn't know how to handle it. It was fucking scary. It was scary. Freaked out. What do I mean? Like, isolated myself. I didn't talk to nobody. I wouldn't talk to anybody about this stuff, because like I didn't know how to talk to anybody at all about it. So it was kind of like my dark little secret. And because of that, I think everyone thought the wrong thing, or maybe they thought the right thing. I don't fucking know. So the Jews. I like the Jews. I mean, the Jews are real. Christians are real. I mean, there is a Jewish religion. There's a religion called Judaism that is practiced by people called Jews. There's a religion called Christianity that's practiced by Christians. There's a religion called Islam that's practiced by Muslims. But they didn't always exist in the current form in which they exist. About that. They all stem from the same point, so to speak. The point at which they stem is just one of a multitude of points. Those, the Abrahamics, just happen to be from Abraham. Abraham was just like all these other guys that were around. So when I say they're fake, these religions, I say they're fake because they were created by man. The philosophies behind them, the spiritual, the mystical philosophies behind them are 100% real, though. That's the catch. So no, they are not real. I mean, but then again, understand it when I say that no, they're not real. They're man-made. Man can make a god. A god is just a frequency, a thought, a consciousness that is given energy. How do you give something energy? Your attention, energy flows where your attention goes, the saying says. When you believe that there's a God, there is a God. Just because the more people that give thought and praise to this God, the stronger that God is. But just because you believe something is real does not mean that it is. On the flip side, because you think about it, it is. A little weird. So yes, there is a Christian God called Jehovah that lives, it exists consciously. But it's not what people think it is. It's actually a lesser God, a weaker God than the old ones, the ones that existed before. Okay. Now, who were the ones that existed before? You had the pagans, and you had people who practiced these polytheistic religions or practices. So you had the Greeks and the Romans and the Egyptians and the Nords, even the Hindus. These characters in their mythologies were all based off of astrology. Astrology is in conjunction with a few other sciences, including the Kabbalistic system and Hermeticism, and a few others that I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I just know more than most. It forms a system called astrotheology. Astrotheology is very fascinating. Like I was saying, that the story in the New Testament is really a retelling of the sun's journey through the zodiac wheel. The zodiac wheel has its own stories and concepts and philosophies behind it. It actually tells us a very interesting story about human evolution as well. There's a really good book about esoteric astrology. Esoteric astrology is the deeper level of astrology. So imagine astrology is like one frequency wave. There's multiple levels of it. What you see in the newspaper is just like one little thing, your horoscope. Like even if you get your horoscope, your birth chart done, if you know enough about astrology to know that you can get your birth chart done, that's just another small fraction of astrology. There's like so many deeper aspects to it that it can actually be used to read the future and read the past, which is very interesting. And it's really fucking cool. And I can't explain it too well, but I can explain a little bit. So, so for instance, so people have heard the Age of Aquarius and the Mayan calendar that was ending in 2012 and shit like that. So as the sun every month goes into a new zodiac sign, every couple thousand years, the whole solar system kind of shifts. I think that's how it works, right? It's precession of the equinoxes. Yeah, it's something like that. It's something similar to that. I need to look into it more. But every couple thousand years, the solar system just falls into a different energy, a different sign of the zodiac. And it takes about 260,000 years or so, something like that, to go all the way around. And the last change was Piscean. We're just coming out of the Piscean age. So in the 2012 Mayan calendar, that was counting down to when the Piscean age was coming to an end and the Aquarian age was coming in. But it takes a long time to do that. So it's kind of like, if you want to believe in this stuff, we're kind of like in between the Piscean and the Aquarian age. Now, these two symbols, Pisces and Aquarius, they have different meanings and they have different characteristics about them that kind of tell a story. And if you pay attention to the story and the theme of the story, you can almost you can see where things are going to go. If that makes sense. So the Piscean age, I don't know much about Pisces. Again, I'm going to fucking murder this, but Christ was an avatar of the Piscean age. So for instance, every age there's a story about people. I think Moses was one, Abraham was one, Jesus was one. Jesus was the representative of. His story is the embodiment of the Piscean age, and the suns travel through the zodiac during the Piscean age. If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Because if you read Jesus' story, if you read the New Testament, and I'm not saying to read it, but if you read it one day, if you're bored and you want to try a cool experiment, read it and read his words and his story and see how you can relate to it. Not that you're getting fucking whipped on a cross, but there has been points in your life where you carried a cross over something. The New Testament is actually about psychology. It's about getting demons out of your mind, ridding yourself of demons. And remember what I was saying about demons. Demons are just frequency waves. They're different ways of thinking. It's depression, it's anxiety, it's sadness. It's those lower levels of consciousness. Now, angels, on the other hand, are the opposite, because we do have times where we feel good, that we feel happy, that we feel courageous, that we feel strong. Those are angels. But in order to feel the angels, you need to feel the demons. And what that means is, I'm looping back around when I was talking about my little anxiety attack earlier. My little anxiety attack was to unlock something within me, to open up my consciousness to another level of. Okay, think of it like this. Think of it like a thermometer. Okay, you have 0 degrees. This isn't heat. Just think of a thermometer. Okay, 0 degrees is just you on a regular day. Okay, you got no cares in the world. You don't feel good. You don't feel bad. You just, I'm good. I'm here. During the day, you're reminded of how many bills you have, and you start to panic. How am I going to pay the bills this month? Consciousness level is now sinking. You're now getting upset. You're now getting sad. You're getting mad. You're blaming people, and you're sinking, and you're sinking, and you're sinking. And eventually, you're going to hit a point where you just fucking burst. Whether it's externally or no, you never do it externally. We always do it here. And we don't let it out. So we hold it in. Or we distract ourselves so we don't have to look at it in our heads because it's too ugly. Right? Now, there's an opposite. So let's say just from all that shit, you went down to negative 20 degrees. Okay? I know I said there's no temperature, just bear with me. Make believe negative 20 degrees is whatever depression, anxiety, and anger that you're feeling. In order to feel 20 degrees, to bounce up to 20 degrees, you need to allow yourself to experience that. Unfortunately, and maybe it's just me, I don't know. I went down first to get back up. I see most people trying to climb up, not realizing that they're putting themselves down. I don't really know. I can't really judge other people's lives unless I base it off of my own, which is that's what I was doing. I was just making it worse and worse for myself. But like you're saying that saying, as above, so below, as within, as without, everything's a metaphor for everything else. Your external world is just a reflection of your internal world, including the people around you. That's why people are always doing things that you expect them to do, because you're afraid. You don't trust them. You don't trust them because you don't trust yourself. It's not until you realize that nobody has anything to hide at all. That if they really hated you, that they would tell you right to your face. But we're just so used to, I don't know, what is that? Oh, it's just kind of itchy. I don't know what that is. Yes, I do. Don't say you don't know. Don't say you don't know, because you know exactly what it is. I don't know. Let me think on that, because I kind of lost my thought there. I'll go back to this. So the thought is holding on to something. I'm holding on to something. I'm just holding on to that thought. I just almost got uncomfortable to a point I didn't want to talk, so my mind's kind of gripped onto that thing that I was just about to say. What I was going to say is one of these little eggies. I just fucking gripped it right back because I didn't want to say it, because I'm afraid that if I say it, I'm going to hurt someone's feelings. I'm worried about hurting someone else's feelings. I'm worried about someone hurting my feelings, which means that I think that someone can't handle something I'm going to say. So if they hear something I say and they don't like it, then they're going to say something to me that's going to make me feel bad. But what can anyone say to me that can make me feel bad about myself or that I don't already know? I don't know. Most people can barely remember anything about themselves, let alone like I think when people say that they don't know, it's a lie. I don't remember. Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder if it's okay. Sometimes I wonder if people say they don't remember because they don't want to have to face the fact that they were wrong, that they did fuck up. But my philosophy on fucking up, fuck up. Everyone fucks up. Who gives a shit? It is what it is, man. Can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And that's not to say that you got to run people over in your life, but sometimes you're gonna run people over and not realize it until after the fact, and then go, fuck, son of a bitch. Wish I didn't do that. But in the end, yeah, I wish I didn't do that. But if I wasn't supposed to do it, I wouldn't have done it. Everything happens for a reason. If I'm the reason, everything happens for a reason. I did it for a very good reason, and I wouldn't just throw somebody under the bus because it was fun. Absolutely fucking not. I don't like hurting people. Absolutely not. For instance, and it's really funny because this just came up. My mom was telling me this story about this guy. And why is that so relevant right now? Because, oh my god, this is so weird. So, oh my god, yeah, this is really weird. So my mother was just telling me the story about her friend, and this guy um, cared too much for this woman. So her friend, and he told her something that she he cared for her too much. He didn't want to fall in love with her. So he had to break it off. It was very sad. And I was thinking, not from her perspective, I was thinking from his, because I can relate, because I did that. That's the exact same thing I did. Oh my god, that explains why. The future proves the past. That explains why I always kept on fucking over my ex. I mean, not fucking over, but coming off as if I was. Coming off too hot, I think, is the proper term for saying that. And it's like, I think maybe he was doing it for me too, though, because I could see that. I remember, I know thinking I needed her away from me because I couldn't think. I couldn't think because somebody's homesick. Oh, fuck. That's not what I mean. No. Am I homesick? You're not homesick. There's something wrong. There's something really wrong. It's 11. Take away the zeros. 1, 1, 1. Yeah. Shit, but I just picked that up twice. Yeah, you have to think of fear before you can think of anything else. This is like I was saying before, how you have to allow yourself to experience those down points. So basically, when you were having that panic attack about all the bills you had to pay and all the shit that you had to do, next time don't stop. Don't pick up the cigarette. Don't do whatever it is that you do to hide from those things. Yeah. Crooked eye. That looks a little off. That one. That bent finger too. So why? That reminds me of something. Should look into that too, which is a story from Moses. There's an old god in there named Y. QAnon had a 22. Okay, counts. Old Testament. You get into all these philosophies and stuff. There's lots of gods and conscious beings out there that are beyond what most people realize. Some philosophies, there are actually two gods in the Bible. There is it's God and the devil, but they mix up which one is which sometimes. So, for instance, I'm not saying this is what I believe. What I said was the Bible has wisdom in it, but there are conscious beings out there that represent the consciousness that are talked about in there, because if you can feel it, it exists out there. You can experience, you can feel anything. You can tap into anything. It won't change you. You just feel different. So what I mean is like courageous, like I said before, I was naming like feelings that you're familiar with: courage, fear, strength, joy. Those are attached to thoughts and memories. But the more that you allow yourself to experience, the larger the gamut of conscious frequency that your brain can tap into. How's that sound? You're familiar with what a gamut is. So think of color. I used to be a printer. It's the best way to do it. When you have a printer, you can only print what's called a specific color gamut. So imagine this box that I'm in represents every single color in all of existence. Okay? Just make believe. A printer can only print that little circle. That would be called the color gamut. It would only be able to print whatever color is you can see in that range. So what I'm saying is like your consciousness is like kind of like that. But the more that you feel, the more that you experience, the more that you allow yourself to feel. But unfortunately, you have to feel the bad shit too. that gamut increases, and you can eventually see more color, more depth, and more perspective, and you get new insights on life that are just different from what you're used to. It's, I don't know. You are literally becoming your own teacher because you're not tapping into anything. You're not talking to anything. And no, no. There's times I've heard things and seen things in my head that don't belong here on this planet, and um, but there's always something to learn from it. So imagine it like your brain is giving you this story about this experience that may or may never happen, but what is there to learn from having that experience? Like, why would you need to have that experience? Okay, if I had that experience, why do you need to date this particular girl? I need to date this girl because I need to learn this thing about this particular thing. It might not just be I need to learn what she looks like naked. It could be I need to know what's inside of her head. She is smart enough to know something that's similar to me, and it would be advantageous for me to extract that knowledge and put it into my head. I think that's what experiences are all about. It's extracting shit from people, probing their minds, and getting the juicy details out of their imaginative brain so that you can have new experiences. Because every experience that you have is a lesson for something else. Why do I feel like this is like deja vu? So what was I saying? This is actually like a really cool topic. Making things happen by thinking them. By thinking them into existence. So, just a note, something I could pick up on later. Um, what does that mean, making things happen by thinking them into existence? So, I was saying this earlier. You can think your future into existence because when you think about the things that you want to have happen, you allow yourself to experience them here. Eventually, you'll have these urges that you want to do things. Like I had this urge to do this because of several things that I want to be doing, which I think I alluded to earlier. I never finished that story about when I was going to kill myself. So, which I knew I was going to kill, but no, actually, I did. This was the one time I was actually like, I'm going to do this a while ago. I had brought up that I was going to kill myself, and the reason I brought that up was because I said I had just written something down, very specific events that I would like to see happen, that my mind was showing me that someone very specific in my life there was a very good possibility that this sequence of events that I was seeing in my head was actually happening in the outside world because I could rationalize how those things could happen. People seeing each other, people saying shit to each other, rumors getting spread, and then eventually someone finding something that doesn't match up with what they were told, and then going, "Oh my God, what the hell was that all about?" And then trying to find out more stuff, and then eventually leading down this path of reconciliation. No, well, why am I saying it like that? No, that's. And here's the cool part. A lot of people I know could relate to that. I can think of a ton of people that can relate to that. A ton of people who I haven't seen recent past, distant past that could happen with, but I have it very specific. And That's why I brought up the time I almost killed myself. What did I say? Kill myself. I was going to jump off the fucking bridge. I was going to get really drunk and jump off a bridge. But I had to go run some errands for my grandmother first. It'd be a very interesting day. Probably a good idea to go back. I actually scared the shit out of her that day. It's when I burnt my one book. I had one book that I burnt, set it on fire because it was getting too weird. It's getting into like, this is when I was at the church, and a lot of the studies I had been studying were coming to pass more so than ever before in ways that were a bit too personal for me, and I got freaked out and I started writing some shit down that I was actually really scared of. Nothing. This is that Antichrist shit. I really believed it. I really believed it for a minute, and realistically, it's true. It's true. It's I am the beast 666, and I was actually thinking about this earlier. But so is everybody else. So are you. So is the guy down the street. So is everybody. They just it's not like a job. It's a philosophical title. It's a philosophical job. A metaphysical job. With theoretical, philosophical job. It's like the Jews call it Moshiach, the Christians call it Antichrist, the Hindus call it Krishna, the Buddhists call it Buddha, think of the pinnacle of whatever philosophical or theosophical belief that you can, theological philosophy grounded in science, metaphysics. Metaphysics is just physics that are just outside the realm of what's normally measurable. It's the unseen. It's like, think of it like consciousness. Like, how do you measure consciousness? Nobody measures consciousness. You can't measure it. Not with a tool. Not that I know of. I could be wrong. Like, and when I say consciousness, I don't mean just like you, Joe. What I mean is that thing, that kind of thing behind you, thing behind the name, just that alive. I'm alive. Hi. I'm a thing. I'm not Derek. I'm a thing. That thing. It's that. It's just coming to terms with it. And what would I mean? Coming to terms with it? Well, it's the center of the fucking galaxy. It's the center of the universe. It's you. You are the reason that everything happens for a reason. God is within you. Christ even said the temple is within you. It's your body is the temple for God. God is consciousness. Consciousness is you. You just give it a name. I'm hysteric. Was. Is. It's got two. I run also by Toxic. It's this. But I run by Toxic 66. And I spell toxic a very specific way. And there's a reason why I spell it a very specific way. And the reason I spell it a very specific way is because I believe in numerology. And I know what 666 means. It's the number of the beast. The beast is this physical form that we find ourselves in that is addicted to the physical world around us. It loves sex, it loves drugs, it loves video games, it loves food, it loves passion, it loves happiness, it loves joy, it loves to do things. It loves the entire spectrum of experience. It's carbon. 6 electrons, 6 neutrons, 6 protons. The Bible, like I said, is a blueprint. And you know what? Take it however you will. This is how I understand it. And it makes more sense to me, and I understand it. You never read it. You can't tell me that it's not, that I'm not right, because you don't know. It's like me telling you how to do whatever you do. Like me telling you that the Bible, New Testament, is a version of the sun's journey through the zodiac. I'm telling you that. I'm saying it for a reason, because I know. Because I've experienced, I've read it. I've correlated it with what I do know. Now, do I know it 100%? The greatest in the world? No, I don't know it that well yet, but I know it enough to know what I know, to be confident enough in myself to fucking say it. Am I going to find some things that are going to change my mind? Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm going to find new theories and new data that's going to make me think of things in new ways. I'm going to throw away old beliefs. I'm going to pick up new ones. I mean, it's the evolution of consciousness. That's how you do it. You can't stick with just one thing. And like, yeah, today this means, it means 100 different things. The person who I think it is my ex. Ex, holding on to my son. Gripped, tight, protective, ready to lash out. This motherfucker tries one thing that's fucking crazy. Well, I know. It's mother of wants. Mother. Of course, I think of a mom. I think my mother as well. I think my mother is, of course, she's holding on to stuff. She has her own life that she leads with her own troubles and worries. Everyone holds on to their stuff. Not everyone likes to talk about their baggage. But then again, this is also me. Holding on to my own things I'm afraid to talk about. I mean, I wrote some of them down today. I'm going to talk about that. My business idea, my aliens and the Greys. I was saying, and my fears with sex and girlfriends and my ex and little notes. Like, sometimes there's ways to figure out what you need to figure out next, and it's like just by talking, because I'm getting all this energy out of me. Energy being the frequency, because your sound frequency is energy. I'm getting the energy out of me, because attached to these words are thoughts, because I'm thinking as I'm speaking. I speak what I think, which is what I feel. This is what they meant by the Holy Trinity, by the way. The physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body. It's like Christ touches the Sacred Heart. It represents your spirit, your soul, that infinite love within everybody. Oh, fucking heart chakra. There you go. People call it your heart chakra. Familiar with the chakras? It's the heart chakra. In the Kabbalistic system, the heart chakra is called Tiferet. It's represented by something that's called Tiferet. Tiferet means beauty, I think. Something like that. I forget. Got a long ways to go before I know all that really well. A comfortable chair. And when you speak, what you think, what you feel, you are in perfect alignment with who you are, with what you are, and that's what a lot of people have a hard time doing. I think I had a hard time doing it for a very long time. I know that some people around me, they aren't very comfortable speaking their mind and saying things that are bothering them sometimes. But I think there's a reason. There's a reason. So don't let me play the fucking harp over my fucking head and say that I'm better than everybody else because I say things I can't fucking do this one by myself. I can't really do it when I'm around other people because I get scared. Scared I'm get judged, which is what this is. This is like training for that. Because I get better every time. Like earlier I did that video where I cut it off when my mom got home. But after going out there and talking with her, I then built up some courage. And then I finished the recording while she was here. She didn't hear it. I don't think she was on the phone. But then also Now, doing this here, and we were just on the phone earlier while we did it, so it's only a matter of time until I can build that courage to be able to show this side of myself. No, let me no, because you know what? I think what I mean is I don't think I can keep her attention with this conversation. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. Maybe it's not enough. Anyway, so yeah, you got all the names. You got the Antichrist. You got all the crap. The Moshiach, the Messiah, the Christ, the Buddha, the Krishna, the Hare Krishnas. They got the same thing called Krishna consciousness. Same thing as Gnostics, which is it's a form of old Christianity. It's a form of the Kabbalistic system. I believe those Gnostics, they call it the Christ consciousness. In that philosophy, Christ wasn't a god; he was a man, like you or me. And what he was doing was basically teaching people how to wake up to releasing those energies out of themselves. And what exorcisms, kind of basically what I'm doing, the exact same thing, which is what a lot of people are doing. It's just everyone does it different. The same, but different. So that's what I mean, like everyone is the same thing. Everyone's doing the same thing, not even realizing it. No one's doing anything special that nobody else is. But it's I take pride in what I do because it took me a long time to get like this, and the fact that I'm able to behave the way that I do, I am bad as a motherfucker. I'm trying to blow up the match, actually. It's not a joke. Everything happens for a reason. Bought that wallet for a reason. I'll just fucking carry that thing just as it's a fucking very true. Yeah. I don't think I am. But if I think I am, then everybody else knows I am. Well, no, I don't think I am. I know I am. I mean, I've got my ass kicked a couple times. I still get my ass kicked. I kick my own ass every single day. I don't give a fuck if anyone else. You know, I really prefer not to fight, but I'm not a very violent person. But there's probably a reason for that. Probably because I'm afraid to get beat up. I mean, I've been beat up so many times that in 22 seconds, 2 hours and 22 minutes. What is it about fighting? I don't know. You know, I hate fucking fighting because I feel like there's always a better way around it. But I was actually looking for a fight recently. I was trying to go to that part of town, see if anyone would fight me. I didn't try to go there. I was going to see if a fight would just find me. But if they will, they won't. We'll get into a fight eventually. I kind of want to do like a Fight Club thing. I've always wanted to. I dig Tyler Durden's style. His ideas, the way he thinks. Not the blunt, well, maybe even the blunt. No. Yeah, maybe. It depends. Depends on what it's for. It's for a good cause. Like wiping out debt. No, that'll happen on its own. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Always wondered that. That was part of the Q conspiracy, QAnon conspiracy too, is that some global reset to money. Cool idea, but my brother and I were talking about this on my birthday, actually. He said it's a cool idea. I mean, I understand the idea. Like, what would happen if everybody was just given billions of dollars? Every single person on the planet was given billions of dollars. And then I just said, I was saying that, well, if everybody had $1 billion, you wouldn't need dollars anymore because everybody would have all the money that they needed. There wouldn't be a need for money anymore. You know what I mean? Because like, what are you gonna do with it? You're gonna like one person's gonna figure out a way to get the billions out of everybody else, and then that person's gonna have all the money eventually. Kind of like what's going on now. Everybody started out with like the same shit, and then there's like a very small group of people that have all the shit, and they keep it to themselves because they don't want all the other people to have it. So this is something that's already been done before. It's nothing new under the sun. Everything's been done before. It's just been done differently. I was actually talking to a Satanist yesterday. He's not even a real Satanist. A real Satanist. Let me tell you a thing or two about Satanism. And because I knew this when I was a fucking kid. LaVey brand Satanism, which is not the same as spiritual Satanism. Well, in a sense it is. There's a different sex to it. But I don't know if LaVey even thought that much into it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm wrong about him. But you know what? This is how I interpret his shit. I thought this is how I always interpreted it. This is what I thought he always kind of like sold it as was. Satanism is God, is in you. You are God. This is technically Satan. Satan is in the Bible. I'm saying there's two gods of the world. In the Bible, there's the God of this world, and then there's the Creator God. The God of this world is a vengeful God who lies to people, and he's attached to this. Chill. Don't ask me where Satan. I was the Satanist. He asked me where Satan was. Fuck, that was the answer. Well, you know what? Great, because he just sent me a message. So, he said to me yesterday, he said it to this girl on Twitter, said something about Satan. He said, why don't you tell me where Satan lives? And then I got into the whole story about how Satan lives on Satan is Saturn. There's a whole mythology behind that. The name Satan comes from Saturn. Originally, Satan was known as Lucifer. Lucifer is the light bringer. Lucifer is actually not really even that a bad guy. From the Christian standpoint, yeah, Lucifer tried to dethrone God, and he was cast out of heaven by bringing the other angels with him, and his name turned to Satan, and he went to hell. Turns out this is hell, really, technically. There's also a metaphysical version of hell that also exists. There is a devil that does exist as a conscious frequency. Like I was saying before, you put thought into something that exists. It just doesn't mean that it's what you think it is. So, slick devil, yeah. Just had a thought. And the original form of the Kabbalistic system and some philosophies like Gnosticism, where they said Christ is within you. You are Christ. Ultimately, the consciousness that I was talking about before, consciousness that's inside of you, that's God. It's a fractal. It's a piece. It's a piece. Everything's got consciousness. Everything's got a little bit of consciousness in it. It's mason jar has consciousness in it. What I mean by that is the man who invented the mason jar, I would probably imagine his name is Mason of some sort. His thought that creative process that went into this thing is there. Is it his physical form? No. But his mind created this jar. Every time this jar is made, there is a piece of mason put into this. Mason jar has a very specific look to it. You can change the words, you can change all the shit on it, but a mason jar is a mason jar. That's how you know it has a very specific top. It has a very specific look, a very specific feel. That man's consciousness is that in physical form. So he's here. He's right there. Or she. I don't know. The person who met. I'm just saying that someone named Mason. This is what popped in my head. Is it obvious? Maybe. Maybe it wasn't that obvious for some people. I don't know. But for me, it just seemed natural. So that's what I mean. Like, you go to anything. This wallet. The person who originally designed the bad motherfucker wallet. I'll even go so far as the one from Pulp Fiction. Even in this replica, his essence is there. This is his font. It's exactly how the old one was. Different colors. The same, but different. And the same material. It's got a little bit, I think Jules' was like flatter than mine. Not that there's anything very exciting in mine, it's just crap. Who cares to me? Hey. Does that make sense? I hope so. So, hope I makes sense. Oh, so Satanism. So the way LaVey, I believe LaVey taught it. If he was even teaching anything, I don't know. I reached out to those Church of Satan people to see if there was actually like a hierarchy of understanding in their practice. If there's even practice, I don't even know. I'm not really sure. I should probably go to the website and get some information. I'd always like to run that place. I think I can run it a lot better than what it is. Give it a much better name, much better reputation than whoever's running it now. Because those people are just, I don't fucking know. So, LaVey, that God is within you, that this temple of yours should be celebrated. It should be, that's why they believe in excess. Drink, drugs, do whatever the fuck you want. Give a shit. Doesn't fucking matter. Just go. Have fun. Which technically you can. You absolutely can. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You don't have to be a fucking monk. You don't have to abstain if you don't want to. No, there's consequences. There's always consequences to both sides. I mean, there is no such thing as good or evil. Good is considered evil to the evildoer who considers himself a good guy. What's good for you isn't necessarily good for me, and it's completely evil for somebody else. Everybody's got their own perspective on things, and perception is reality to those who are perceiving it. Your perception is not the same as my perception. My perception is not the same as their perception. That makes sense. Lovers. Come on. Sorry. Well. Alright, so these four, I saw these four, and technically these five. We'll get back to teaching some stuff all over the place, but fuck it. I don't know, I think it works. I don't know if this doesn't work or does work. Well, considering I have 14 subscribers, I don't know if it's working, but anyway. So, we'd call this a general reading. First thing that comes to mind, lovers. Boyfriends and girlfriends. I really need a girlfriend, I think. I don't know. I don't think I want one. No, I have a lot of girlfriends. I think I need a lover. That's what I need. Partner, I guess. I want to go real quick. I don't need to rush into anything. But this also represents a few other things instead of just sexual partners. This also represents our minds. This also represents, in a sense, you could say, the Holy Trinity of existence. The masculine, the feminine, and the divine that exists within each and every single one of us. Let me explain. Consciousness comes in two flavors. It comes in boy and it comes in girl. We call it masculine and feminine. They don't really represent penis and vaginas. Will count. And sometimes not in that order either. The masculine, fire, is about action. It's about doing. It's about making things happen. The feminine is more real, more physical, more touchy. The ego, we call it the ego, we're not going to call it the ego, the physical. And you have the serpent there. Remember what I was saying about serpents earlier, that serpents have wisdom. Wisdom comes from creativity. Long story. This is the creative aspect. This is the aspect of you that, maybe not even creative, but it's the one that likes to touch stuff. The literal mind. This is more the figurative mind. So these two aspects of your mind. We have two sides of the brain. We have a right brain, we have a left brain, and we do know that we have a right mind and left mind, do we, or no? I did know somebody who didn't understand that once. When we're too imbalanced, we're more one side than the other. That can happen. But when you can learn to unify those two, you get a taste of the divine. What does that mean? You start to see the magic that's in the world around you. The magic being synchronicity. What is synchronicity? Coincidence. Coincidence is a science that just isn't known. It's not, what is a coincidence? Something that just randomly happens? There is nothing that's random. Everything has order. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Just anything. Why did I pick up this card? Because it was the first card I saw. Why did I say what I said about the card? Because that's what I saw in my head. So I said it. That was the reason. What was the reason that card was exactly where it was? Because that's how it was shuffled. Why did I even have to shuffle that card? Because I wanted to bring all my cards down with me. Why did I bring my cards down with me? Because I wanted to record myself tonight and practice doing a tarot class. Why did I want to practice doing a tarot class? Because I want to do something that involves people and showing people what I can do and maybe helping people do something new on their own to inspire. Why do I want to inspire people? Because I feel inspired to do things. I feel inspired to create. I feel inspired to do what I want to do. What I want to do is, like I said earlier, make the occult esoteric world my living, which I have. The next step is to make the things in my head real. And in order to do that, I have to provide a service. What service? I'm providing a service right now. I'm providing a service in which I want to teach you how to do the same thing that I can. You don't have to take it, but I have to prepare for when I have tangible results to go, look, I did it, I achieved something. And what that is, I have no idea. I'm hoping that that's something that's coming soon, because I feel as though potentially the people that I was thinking about earlier could help me along that path. So now let me go up, which is kind of brings me to this one. This is the Chariot. Chariot's typically about moving forward. It's about back. Actually, it's about the same thing. It's literally about the same thing. So you have the divine mind. I mean, you have the masculine mind, you have the feminine mind. And when you can get those two to work together, which Carl Jung, I brought him up earlier, he had this idea of bringing the subconscious mind to the conscious. So think of the feminine mind as the conscious mind and the masculine mind as the subconscious mind. This is the creative one. Imagination and your subconscious mind, they're the same thing. It's just that it's easier for you to see the subconscious mind when you're sleeping. But it's always talking. You're just not listening. You don't know how to listen to it though, because it doesn't speak in words, it speaks in images and pictures and feelings and emotions. Interesting, right? That's why you haven't been able to listen to it, because every time you feel bad or feel sad, you do something to block yourself from having to listen to that part of you. When if you just open yourself up and listen, allow yourself to be scared, allow yourself to be mad, allow yourself to be glad or whatever. And it's actually a bad feeling, so it's not going to be glad. But you will feel glad once you get it out, because you'll cry, you'll get mad, you'll say the things that you want to say. You don't even have to say it to the people that you want to say it to. That's why I write. I write everything down to get that energy out of me. Because once that energy is out of me, I don't need to throw it onto somebody else, because that energy will leave an imprint. What kind of imprint, I don't know. I don't know how certain things happen. Well, people come back, they attack. But I'm trying to figure out a way of communication with people that doesn't involve yelling back and forth, but actually talk, not yell, just talk. But that could just be me. But in a sense, I'm teaching myself how to get to that point. And whatever. Whether or not everyone else is like that and I'm just the only one, it doesn't matter, because the fact is I'm getting there. And by the time I get there, I bet you everyone else is already going to be there waiting. But that's the beauty of it. Were they always there waiting? Or is it because they saw me act the way that I did, I just wasn't ready for it yet? Or no? So, in a sense, what am I seeing? Now, this can also be like fortune telling. You can also say that this is someone coming into your life, partner of some sort, some divine partner that you're going to find. But at the same time, remember, as above, so below, as within, as without. The external world is just an allegory for your internal world. When I say mirror, that's what I mean. It's an allegory. It's a metaphor. Everything that's outside is going on in here. It's just helping you try to figure this shit out so you can get to this point. But if you have found your lover here, reconnected these two lovers, which, funny stories, your mommy and your dad, that's where your masculine and your feminine mind come from your mom and your dad. But your mom and your dad, their masculine and feminine mind, they also had a masculine and feminine mind. Their masculine and feminine mind came from their parents, and then their parents and their parents and their parents. You literally, in your consciousness, have, when people talk about past lives and past life regression, what it is really is relatives. They're relatives of yours. Your progenitors. Up until the point where they consummated their love for each other, then they made you. You have all the consciousness of every single person from your family, all the way back to the beginning. That's why when I say, like, everything in the universe happened exactly the way that it did in order for me to be exactly right here at this point right now, to say the things that I'm saying so that you can hear what I'm saying. It's a very big thing. It means every single thing that's happened since the beginning of time, however you want to imagine that to be, everything that's happened exactly the way it did. These cards shuffled exactly the way that they did. Every star that's ever been born, every planet and asteroid that could have destroyed Earth that just fucking missed. Everything in human history, the way the humans evolved, if they really evolved, if human history went exactly the way that people said, however you want people to say it, however you believe that history went, no matter what, it happened exactly for you and for me to be exactly where we are at this exact moment in time, to hear this conversation. Now, granted, I understand that I'm in this room by myself talking alone, but it's only for right now. But you never know. No one ever may see this, which is fine. But they might. You never know. That's the beauty of it. They may not see it for a very long time. They may not see it for years or decades or centuries, or maybe not until after I'm dead, if I ever die, which is a possibility that it may not even happen, because metaphysically I don't believe in death in the physical sense, because I don't believe in the future. I believe in right now. I know that the future is a thing. It's what I perceive it to be is where I'm going to be in the future. But from a metaphysical standpoint, I mean, what we conceive as the future. If you took away human beings right now, there's no past, present, or future. It's only the past, present, and future are only there because we think it is. What we conceive of it as. Mathematics, 1 + 1 is 2. Yeah, sometimes. In the literal sense. But 4 = 1 also. Ten = 1, it = 4. That's pretty cool. When you can figure that out. That's actually really cool. So it makes sense if you understand it fully. I'm not explaining the whole thing. It has to do with the Jewish Kabbalistic system. It's got this this symbol called the Tree of Life, and the Tree of Life has these 10 aspects on it, and the 10 aspects represent it's a blueprint of the universe and the human soul and everything. It's a blueprint of everything. It's a blueprint of society. It's a blueprint of the future. It's a blueprint of the past. It's a blueprint of just, it can explain anything if you know how to read it. I'm learning. I don't know how to read it for everything. I can read for some stuff. I can read for me. And in the Kabbalistic system, 10 is the only number. I mean, no, I'm sorry. The numbers go from 1 to 10. And the reason they only go from 1 to 10 is because 10 equals 1. In the Jewish system, there's in the Jewish alphabet, Hebraic alphabet rather, numbers and the letters are the same. It's like Greek. A couple other letters are, a couple other languages that are like that as well. Aramaic, I believe, is like that. Some others, I think. I don't know. But what you do is, it's called gematria, numerology. You just add the numbers up. So 10 equals 1 is 1 plus 0. So 1 plus 0 equals 1. Because think of it, what's happening is it's going in a loop. Okay. So 1 is the starting point. I think of it like a clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 is 1. 10 is going back to the beginning. The number 11, what I was saying before, the number 11 is a magical number because technically 11 doesn't exist because 11 is 2. But it's a leveled up 2. Because technically the system would start over again. So go 1 through 5, 1 through 9, and then that's where 10 comes into play. But being that 10 is the same thing as 1, you're just starting over again. That makes sense. It's hard to explain. I don't know it perfectly, but I just know that's how it works. I still have a lot to learn. So that's where 10 equals 1 is. But 1 is also, you take the 4 elements of existence, fire, earth, air, water, mush those 4 together, and you come up with the quintessence, which is spirit, which is creation, which is everything. So 4 equals 1, equals the 1 creation. Doesn't equal the same as 10. Remember, I didn't say that. I said 4 equals 1 equals 10, or 10 equals 1 equals 4. Maybe that's what I meant. Maybe that's how I should have said it. 10 equals 1 equals 4. Because 10 and 4 are not the same thing. Even though they are, in a sense. Not totally. It's complicated. I mean, they are they are the same thing. It's just different ways of explaining the same thing. But 10 equals 1 equals 4. So you got your lovers, this union, it's the divine union. And yes, it can relate to lovers in the fortune telling stance. Because like I said, fortune telling is real. It's just a matter of how you look at it. So what I see is, I gotta read my cards for me. So it looks like I might actually be meeting someone soon. This looks like maybe a divine partnership. One that I've been waiting for a while. I hope so. That'd be really cool. I really like to meet somebody. Actually, I meet a lot of people. And I'd really like to actually meet people to go to a different level than just talking. Hand holding. Like holding hands. But now, I was jumping to the chariot because I was saying that chariot means almost the same thing. Not in the sense of the lovers, but see the black sphinx and the white sphinx. They represent kind of the masculine and the feminine as well. Masculine and feminine energies. They join together and then they create. Hi, how you doing? So it's almost showing here that, think of these also as the masculine and feminine aspects of the mind. And when they're working in conjunction, they're bringing you forward. They're the chariot. They are moving you forward in time. I know, you gotta bear with me. I know I said I didn't believe in the future, but it's in an abstract way. It's difficult. If I sound like I contradict myself sometimes, it's because I am. It's just you have to understand that I need to contradict myself to get to where I'm going. So, almost in the same way where this divine union here is leading to a divine union out there, that divine union here is also bringing me forward to the next stage, which is that this divine relationship of universal proportions coming? Maybe. But either way, I am going forward in my life. Now, leads us to this guy, which is the Six of Wands, which is sharing your wisdom, sharing your wisdom, but sharing what you got with people. It's going back to what my mom said, how when you donate your time, the universe gives it back to you. Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. It's called karma. You can believe in karma. It's like the energy that you put out does come back to you. This is energy. The words that I'm saying have frequency to them. They have that thought pattern. Yet they say something, but there's a deeper meaning behind them. One that isn't going to be so noticeable to these ears, but more to this ear. How do you explain that? Gosh, that's third eye. Communication has different degrees. Not all of it is just verbal. There is sub-levels to the verbal communication. I mean, even in our writing, there's lines between the lines. Just like with our words, there's words between the words. And it's just a matter of, and there's images behind the images. There's images behind the words. And what they mean to everybody is going to mean something different. Like everybody's going to interpret what I say differently. I think, I don't know. But I guess not. Well, I mean, if everyone got it the same way, that would actually be a good thing. But that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm giving my knowledge here. Like, you don't know how to do this. I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I don't think you know how to do it like I do. So I'm giving out. I'm sharing. To whoever's watching. I mean, what else does this mean? Charity. I'm doing this thing with my mom on Saturday. We're going to the addiction awareness party thing. Donating time. What else? How else can I say this? 6 Pentacles. 6 stability. Fuck, I'm not good with the numbers after 4. I know 5 is kind of like going back around. 6 is kind of would be the worst place to be. I don't know. But going off the image in my head, this is giving back to people or even receiving. Receive charity all the time. But I also give it in return. It's a energetic, universal law exchange. Energy that you put out is the energy that you get back. This guy is going to get something back for giving his coins out. He's keeping balance by making sure that he gives as much to anybody. What he's probably making sure of is that he gets back what is balanced. He's giving some coins to some beggars, but everybody's working for something. Nothing's for free. You have to give back. If you don't give back, then there's an imbalance. And it's not going to affect this guy. It's going to affect this guy who's getting it. So this is called karma. If he gets these coins, he doesn't do anything good with those coins, that's going to bite him in the ass. It's a very valuable lesson, especially with the law of exchange. It's a fucking real thing. I mean, if you don't like give back in some way, like it'll bite you in the ass. So, moon. It's nighttime. Oh, there's that new moon. Shit. A couple days. I think. Moon. I'm at the moon, so it's fucking dog and fucking crayfish and lobster guy, and card always fucks me. I don't know. Moon's about emotion. It's femininity. What's called my moon goddess. That's the first thing that I thought of when I pulled this out. Was when I said that. It was a long time ago. She forgot, I think, because she was mad at me. Well, she's mad at me now, so I think she forgot because she's mad at me. I don't know if she's really mad at me. I don't really know nothing. I think I do. That doesn't mean I do. Ah, fuck. But everything's a metaphor for something else. So this doesn't. Moon also. Moon is the mother. Moon is the mother. This is Isis, the holy mother of the Egyptian trilogy. Well, Isis. She was the moon goddess. Osiris was the stars, the universe, God, and then Horus, the sun, Ra, was the sun. So the mother, the father, and the son, Holy Trinity. Also translates down to man, which is the mind, the body, and the spirit. The two aspects of the mind that create the spirit, well, create the connection to the spirit, which is the masculine and feminine, and then the joining of the two, and then tapping you into the divine mind, the divine consciousness. What they call Buddha, which they call Christ, which they call Krishna, which they call all the other shit. Divine, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Kundalini. He's down. So maybe this is my mother. This is something with me and my mother. I mean, I feel like we have like something building up. But something good. I don't see seeing something bad. I feel that we've had a very growing, our relationship has been growing very positively over the past couple of weeks, and I'm actually very pleased with where we're at. I feel much closer to her than I ever have before. It's interesting. Dirty dogs. There's you. I don't know. Those two pillars also represent balance, masculine and feminine. In a sense. Calling at the moon. Why howl at the moon? You know, I love the moon. I'm outside during the full moon. I get like very attracted to it. Like I just can't stop staring at it. I used to walk a lot, and when I was walking, I always walk at night. Eventually, I got to walking at night because it's cooler out. It wasn't as hot out, less people out, and I like being under the stars. I like being up late, so I was like, fuck it. I enjoy the nighttime. Creature of the night, which happened. And but I would love walking on full moons because it was the best because you can feel the energy. You can feel it. You can feel it if you're outside or not. I mean, everybody knows, but nobody acknowledges that like that energy on the full moon is actually very potent. That you do things that you normally wouldn't do. Like I was talking to this girl last weekend, and she was a nurse, and she got into astrology. And she was saying that always on full moon, like everybody knows that all the crazies come in on the full moon. Yeah, because that's what happens. It's science. I mean, the moon controls the tides. Tides control us. The moon is the tides. The tides of our emotion coincide with the cycles of the moon. And I was saying that I read all my stuff, and astrology isn't that difficult, no, because you can trace a pretty accurate picture of yourself based on the cycles of the moons. Like I know when I'm going to feel a certain way based on where the moon is at in its monthly cycle. So every 2 weeks there's a full moon. Every 2 weeks. This week's a new moon, which is the black one. It's invisible. And in 2 weeks it's going to be a full moon, and 2 weeks it's going to be a new moon, 2 weeks it's going to be a full moon, and so on. 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. It's about like 24 days or 26 days, something like that. I think it's an average, like 24 to 28, something like that. Days. And it affects you differently. I mean, if you understand, like, you really have to understand astrology because there's a lot of things that go into this. It isn't just stars controlling your destiny, man. No, it's actually the energy coming off of those bodies, those aliens, because that's what they are. Um, we're more familiar with gravity. So imagine that gravity had some thought behind it. Imagine that gravity was thought. The sun keeps all the planets going around it because it's so big. All the planets are exactly where they are because of their density, because of their gravity, because of the pull that they have on each other, on their attraction to each other. And they all spin in a very specific pattern, and it's a pattern that repeats every, I don't know, I think it's like a million years or so, something crazy. But there's order to it. It's not just random, like everybody's spinning all fucking crazy. No, everyone spins at a very specific speed based on where they are, where their placement is, where their the size, all that shit. But also keep in mind that each planet affects each other because they all are attracted to each other. Even Mercury, which is all the way in the front, and Uranus, they do affect each other. Not as I don't know no, they all affect each other at all times. Because Uranus is exactly where it is, because this is exactly how it was, just 111. What I'm getting at is every planet is exactly where it needs to be because of where all the other planets are. This is very similar in the Seven Hermetic Principles. Because the Seven Hermetic Principles there's 7 separate philosophies, but each one works exactly the way that it does, so that the other 7 can work the way that they do. They all work together, but they all work separate. It's like, maybe I made this analogy before. It's like a car. Like, you have all the pieces. You turn the key of the car, and the car doesn't magically turn on. Like, there's a whole sequence of events that happen. And for the duration of that car being on, each part of the car is making the other parts work the way that they do. And that's the way that astrology works. That's the way that the solar system works. The sun is the way that it is so that everything else can go around it the way that it does. And everything goes around it the way that it does because of its placement, because of its size, because of its attraction. So you really just need to understand how all those things work together and then you can figure out astrology. Fuck, I feel victorious figuring that out. Not that I didn't figure it out already. It's just like there's a bigger thought that's brewing that I've been working on for a very long time, and I just got a taste of it right now. That makes sense. I'm actually very excited about that because it really makes me want to jump back into what is this fucking doing? Yeah, fuck yeah. Victorious. This is, well, I don't know. Some people say he's victorious. He's riding, looks like he's leading a pack into fucking battle, is what it looks like. People say that he's coming back the victor. So he's on the horse and everyone's cheering him on. I don't know if I see that. I feel like I see people fucking going out and doing something. They look like dicks, by the way. Which I think they're supposed to. The cultists back then, they were phallic. I've been trying to figure this guy out. Oh, I just told him. 9 of cups. Let's examine him. See a guy who has cups. Yes, that is the literal. There's a man sitting there with some cups on a blue sheathed table. It's burned. Looks like the sky, I guess. I guess it kind of looks like
dome of the sky. Blue, sky blue, golden cups. Reminds me almost of, you know what it reminds me of? Indiana Jones and the Quest for the Holy Grail. Is that the one with Sean Connery? I think that's the one with Sean Connery. Where at the end of the movie they get to the Knight Templar and he's guarding the Holy Grail and it's mixed up with a bunch of other cups. Man. So, and realistically, the organization that was involved in the creation of these cards is Masonic, which Masonic in that there's some tie to the Freemasonry tradition, Freemasonry organization. So, and Freemasonry, in a sense, no, Freemasonry also has its origins has its ties to the Templars. I believe they still exist in a sense, to a degree. So this could really be very much in line with that way of thinking, in that maybe this man is sitting there, he's holding the keys to the castle. Oh, hey, make a choose, your choice. I mean, typically the Ten of Cups, typically cups, rather, is the water sign. It represents emotions and relationships and shit like that. That's usually how the fortune tellers say it. But this is someone who is very abundant in their emotional endeavors, so to speak. He's showing off what he's achieved, which in a sense, maybe that is what it is. He's showing off his trophies. But remember what I said, cards mean anything that you want them to. This is both treasure keeper and the treasurer. Are they the same one? I don't know. This guy looks like he's got a... He don't give a fuck, though. I mean, he's definitely... Hey, man, look what I got. What you got? What you got on this? Even if I'm right there, this is a pick a cup. Pick a poison. Could be that, too. Oh, pick your poison. Be looping around to what I was saying before about these new ventures in life. With new people. I mean, now granted, I know I'm an attractive man, so maybe that's what this is. Oh, maybe this is a relationship reading. I never do relationship readings. I never did. This would be cool. In one of my online readings, it said, I have choices. I love choices. Love choices. And it's gonna have variety. Right? In that movie. But yeah, why not? Why not give myself a little fucking romance reading? So yeah, maybe that's it. Because I do have a lot of women. I communicate with a lot of women. I also have boyfriends. I have boyfriends. Nothing sexual. I have a Asian midget boyfriend. He's a friend of mine. He's a very nice man. Took me out to dinner. Well, he didn't take me out to dinner. He wants to take me out to dinner. He wants to take me out to lunch. Took me out to lunch. It's just a little uncomfortable. It wasn't my scene. We actually went on a date. I'll give him a call. It's what's weird is it's not weird. The reason I like him. He doesn't do anything for me emotionally or physically or. He's an Asian midget. And I met him while I was waiting for a bus to go to a meeting for the recovery group that I was working with. And while I was waiting for the bus, this man taps me on the shoulders. And it was this Asian midget man. And I'm used to interesting encounters. And I'm going to label this as an interesting encounter because it's not very often that you meet somebody like that who's interesting, and he really thought it was interesting and he wanted to talk to me, but then he got a little uncomfortable
and I didn't really like the way that it was going. I didn't like the way that he was handling the situation. So I tried to make it known that I didn't like it, but I don't think I did a good job at it. It could be my fault, but anyway, I have to work on that. He was a cool dude. He was actually a cool dude. I mean, aside from the parts that made me uncomfortable, there was some very cool aspects to him. It's fucking Chinese midget, dude. That's awesome. It's really awesome. Yeah, you know what? He's sideshow. So am I. I don't give a fuck. He was very comfortable with himself. We went out to McDonald's, and I felt like a badass walking around with a midget Chinese man. Felt really cool. It was different. Holy shit, you just scared the fucking hell out of me, you motherfucker.
You were down, you scared the shit.
Oh,
Worked perfectly.
oh yeah. Holy crap. Hey, I was thinking there's a box of pop.
No, it's a leaf.
Mind if I tip? Take a little bit? There's blood in there.
Here.
Blood. I was actually going to put magazines in it, but then I opened it, I'm like, oh shit. It's clipping and shit like that.
Still fucking home around here. It'll work.
Awesome. I'm actually practicing doing tarot lessons. You want to learn?
At the moment.
Figuring out what I need to do and say before I do and say it. How was your work? Yeah. Supposed to be nice? Weird. The reason that was weird is because I knew that was going to happen. Just didn't know it was going to happen just like that. That was it shit out of me. So, that being said, I just got a Popeyes. Let's do one more because I'm curious about some things. Okay, Sorcerer's Protection. Oh, baby. These are cards that my buddy Tim got me. My birthday. Very cool. Very dark shit. But the good thing about the dark ones is that they help you see things you wouldn't normally. It's
For instance, the standard deck, Queen of Swords. Who am I thinking of? My mother's first one pops in my head. Queen of Swords slicing through the bullshit. Intelligent woman. Swords represents the mind. My mother's very intelligent. She's a very cool woman. I'd say she's the queen of her castle. She's a very bright woman who oversees what's going on, but yet charitable. As you can see, she's taking her hand and reaching out with it. It's her right hand, not her left hand. Left hand is holding the sword to cut the bullshit out. Right hand is there to support. See, now that's nice. I don't know what that is. Come on. Everything happens for a reason. Oh. Okay, holy water. So these are like different. Holy water. As you can see, this abbot is pouring some holy water on some demons. What he's doing is conquering demons. And that is the point of this particular deck. I'm actually writing a book on this. People always say, if you write a book about what you want to write, what you want to read about. And I am writing a book about these cards, they are fucking amazing. I'm running out of pens. So, and the pens I want to write it with, because I want it to be all handwritten. I want someone to actually look very nice. I guess it doesn't matter. I got scribbles in it. But anyway, what I'm doing is I'm writing about what I see. What it means to me. This number is 41. 4 and 1. This is like the beginning and the end. The end and the beginning. 4 is the end. 1 is the beginning. He's pouring holy water on these poor wretches. He's washing away those dark aspects of himself, and he's coming out clean in his white robe. An end to his suffering and the beginning of his new pure life. Interesting. Very interesting. I like that. I like how I see that. I think it's really cool how I see that. Because, yeah, I know it says 41, but I break things down into more chewable pieces. Holy water. Water is emotion. Demons are emotion. It's washing away those bad emotions with good emotions, holy emotions. Divinely charged emotions, and he is divinely charged in his white, pure robes of life and love. And he is a little cute abbot walking around killing demons. So that's pretty neat, I thought. This card's very poorly made, though. I hope I'm not peeling. You can see scratches on them. But let's try that again. That was kind of cool. This is kind of funny, though. It actually brings a person to my mind. This is the Forbidden Fruit. 66. Being that this doesn't go to 666, this is my 666 card. This is the physical realm. If you remember what I was saying about the lady in the Lover's card, she was the physical realm. This is a little more physical than that. And it's a naked lady trying to tempt you with some fruit. Yes, you want to go eat the fruit because there's a sexy naked lady holding the fruit. The forbidden fruit. This is oh man. You know what's funny? I had this funny notion. I'll leave the who out. That this particular woman in my life, that we had a particular relationship at one point that did get physical. That I think it's a potentiality. I was doing some thinking the other day. I'm like, wouldn't that be weird if we were related? And because
there's a good reason why I even thought that. It's a very long shot. It's a long shot. It's a way long shot. And I was thinking, well, you know what? That's funny that we had that physical relationship, because now if that turned out to be true and I even said it, I'm like, oh, hey, I think we're related. Because there is an attraction that it would be your forbidden fruit. Because technically, what would you do in that situation? What would you do? I don't know. That'd be weird. It's not good. I don't know if that's not good. I don't know. Because if you don't know for certain, then who's to say that you're right? You could be wrong. I mean, it's the way it works, right? So, I don't normally engage in cousin fucking. I'm just saying that it would be very ironic if that were to be the case. Ironic, but yet not surprising, given certain circumstances throughout past lives. Say past lives, I'm talking about old experiences. Just, but that's the first thing that pops in my mind with this is that. But then also at the same time, it's and that's just for me personally. Just like that last one for me personally. That's what that meant to me. Is washing away the last of the demons, and oh my god, washing away the last of my demons and actually finally coming through. It's just we're done. Hopefully. And forbidden fruit, what does that say? That shows to me that the universe is going to throw temptation and desire at me in ways that are going to test my mettle beyond. And I have a bad feeling because that actually coincides with something I was thinking recently. But 66, it's the number of the beast, it's the number of the physical realm. Well, it's the number of man, 666. Which is also the same as a woman, man being the species. But like I said, 66 makes me think of 666. It counts. Doesn't have to be literal. It's all figurative. And then let me do this one. Not only because I just picked this up and I just love abracadabra. Abracadabra. Very magical word. It's more than just a stage phrase, more than a stage magician phrase. There's actually a deeper, mystic, older interpretation of that word. And look at notes number 65, and you add 6 plus 5 is 11. So it's a magical number. It's a number of magical initiation. This is a magical phrase. Abracadabra means, in Aramaic, it means roughly, I create as I speak. That which I speak, I create. If you've ever heard me say that words are magic, that's why it's called spelling. That's kind of the basis of it. You create, your words are energy. Words are, like I was saying before, your words have that potency to go out. Just because people don't hear what you're saying, just because you say something and the words don't hit their ears, the intent does continue to travel. The intent, it does. It's that deeper layer of communication. I think communication, multiple degrees of it. And talking is, again, just got multiple degrees to it. Just because you hear something doesn't mean you're hearing everything that's really going on in my voice. And maybe that's why I talk a lot, and I have my big, long-winded diatribes. Maybe not diatribe. I don't think diatribe is the right word for it. But when I go on my long-winded rants, there's more being said than what you're hearing. And maybe the reason I'm saying it like that is because I know that if I told you exactly what I was thinking, you wouldn't want to hear it. So I just doctor it up and say it in a pretty way. Or maybe that's exactly what you need to hear. But there's a deeper aspect of it that maybe I don't even realize, which is possible too. Because remember, some of this stuff is just subconscious, and you can't be aware of everything all the time. Not yet. I'm learning. I'm trying to be more aware of everything that I'm doing and thinking at all times when I speak and when I do try to create. Because ultimately, I know what I want for my future, and the only way in order to do that is to speak what I need to say in order to do things I need to do. Abracadabra. I create as I speak. So that's it. That was a little bit of these cards. They're different. They're not the same as. That's the thing. Is like these cards, they have a lot of secrets to them. For instance, a lot of people aren't going to see those cards the way that I do. Not many people see the world the way that I do, which is interesting because the person who made these cards sees the way that I do because I read what I do in the book that I wrote, that I'm writing about that. What I'm doing is I'm taking each card and I'm just looking at it and writing down what I think it means, what it means to me personally, not just like the literal meanings, but also the figurative meanings and the mythological meaning. And and what I've noticed is that there's a couple interesting things involved in that deck that most people would not notice if they weren't looking for it. It's really cool. It's very cool. Interesting. But you can do that with all these decks. Everything's got little secrets that are just there for it and not for anyone else to notice. So I actually have. I'm going to wrap this up. 3.5 hours. It's fucking long. I don't know. Lovely time, and it's almost 11:38. Jesus Christ, 11:38 is like a magic number of mine. To hit an 11:11. 11:11 plus 3 plus 8 is 11, so it's 11:11. If you're into numerology, like I am, it all has significance. Everything has meaning. Everything has a purpose. Why would it need to be 11:11 right now? Just so I can say that. 11:38 rather. Because 11:38 has always been a number of mine. It's like I think Star Wars. Leia was in Cell Block 1138. George Lucas's first movie. THX 1138 was the inspiration for Cell Block 1138. THX was also the name of George Lucas's audio Dolby company, whatever the fuck that was. But then 1138 was also Misfits, one of my favorite bands. We are 138. This is an homage to THX 1138. The number of the time 1138 always pops up a lot. It's like when people say they see recurring numbers on or repeating numbers on clocks and shit. Well, it just happens to be that I have always seen 1138. Not always. I mean, it's just one I notice. And a friend of mine had pointed out the 1111 connection to it. Because repeating numbers in numerology, repeating numbers are very important. And 11 as a magical number just happens to also play a very significant role when it doubles, 1111. So when she said, oh, look, it's 1138, when 3 plus 8 is 11, it's 1111, there's a correlation to it in some way, shape, or form that has a particular meaning. It's very interesting. And I think now that it's 1138, I'm just going to cut it off right there just to be just in honor of the number itself, the concept behind it. How about that? All right. Well, thank you for watching if you actually made it this far. If not, fuck it. And over here.